Hey there, and thanks for tuning in to Tater Brain Pod's YouTube channel. As always, cool to link up with a few fellow nerds and get some good input. Got another session in the books for your viewing and or listening pleasure. So without further ado, another episode in our online 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign within the homebrew world of Daanal Wisech. Enjoy.
All right, I'm here. Sorry, guys.
All right, sweet deal. Okay, so I guess we'll begin with a recap. Holler at me if I start cutting out or anything, y'all. So last session, the party took shelter in the trashed tavern after kind of briefly being interrupted around first watch or so by a message left by Big Brucey and crew. Aside from the majestic sounds of coyotes in the throes of love and Logus spotting someone watching the party from afar, the night was uneventful. After some investigating around town, the party traveled to meet up with Big Brucey and crew. And upon meeting, Brucey was less than nice, somewhat confrontational, and soon sprang his attack on the party rather than parlay. The party, though battle weary, has found themselves victorious again, and that's kind of where we are now. I believe Locris is tying up the now twice or thrice enchanted Alvin, the halfling. Locris is binding him with a rope, and Logos has just fired a blunted arrow that did some non-lethal damage to another one of the enemies, giving him the KO but not the death. So that's kind of where we are now. Combat is over. You guys are just outside the ring of circled up wagons and whatnot. And your allies are, for the most part, subdued and or unconscious and dead. Mostly dead.
Renwick's gonna look over at Blade and kind of nod his head toward Alvin and be like, "Why don't you go talk to your friend over there, and I'll go start freeing these people from the chains."
Blade will kind of go over to Alvin, making sure after he's been, tied up and all that, kind of crouching right next to him and kind of snapping his fingers to wake him up.
Okay, yeah, I think we ended last session with Locris was beginning to tie him up with a rope. So I imagine Locris finishes binding the halfling, and he's kind of in a daze. Your sleep spell is not like your charm spell where it lasts an hour or something, right? What's the language on that again? I can't remember.
Let me get.
He could be shaken to be woken up.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of awaken Alvin, and it takes him a bit to stir. He's got to rub the magical sparkles from his eyes, and once again he finds himself coming out of some sort of trance-like state induced by magic to a shitty situation involving me, you and Locris on the other end.
Oh god.
So
He's groggy,
I guess-
but awake and very much disdaining his current surroundings.
So kind of like once he comes to and kind of I've got his attention, I'm just gonna kind of lean into him and just be like, "We gotta stop meeting like this, my friend."
Why does this keep happening to me? What did I ever do to you guys? I mean, you gotta hunt me down and beat me down twice? Like, what fucking is... How does this keep happening? What are you, some kind of witch? What the fuck's going on?
Blade just kind of looks over and he says, "You know what? That's private, but says, you know, bad things happen to bad people, and you know, we tried to talk to you nicely about this previously, but it seems that you've just kind of pursued your course, and
Are
maybe
you
we need to
sure?
take some."
Are you sure you were talking to me? Like nice when somebody barely missed my head with an arrow, or nice when you left me and a comrade, a few drops of water in a vast desert. Or maybe when we thought we found water and then you reassaulted us and killed my comrade, literally murdered him for happening across your path again. Like, remind me, which nice was which time was nice?
Glader is gonna walk up next to Blade at that point, catching the last of what he's saying, and just kind of, with a loud thunk, like stick the tip of his sword into the ground and just glare down at him and be like, "Well, the nice thing was that I didn't kill you before, but I did promise you that if I saw you again, that would be a very different story. And here we are, you going right back to your bosses, doing the same thing that you said you were not going to do. So yes, we were being nice."
Hey, wait a minute. To be fair, I didn't actually do anything. I just kind of came back to camp. I didn't even know this was where camp was. To be totally honest, I was fleeing from you and happened upon it. And technically, I didn't do anything. I mean, Brucey offered me some water, and he asked me about what I know and what happened, and I didn't do anything but tell the truth. To be honest.
Locris, I think you want to have a few words with him as well. Is that right?
Yes, and unlike them, I don't ask nice questions. Here's the way I see it, Alvin. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. You see, your life right now is forfeit. You were told that if you came back to your camp, or if you came back to that town, that you would be beheaded. As far as I'm concerned, you returning to that town sealed your fate. Now you can make any excuse you want. I'm not listening. So we have three options. One, I leave you tied up, I cut your Achilles tendons, and I go drag you 5 miles into the desert. And we see how long you survive. Two, you give us some information, and your death is quick. Or three, you wow us with some miraculous information that you just remembered, and maybe we be generous and we let you walk on. Those are your only three options. Now, wow me.
Go ahead and give me an intimidation a check with advantage.
15 plus 7 for 22.
Yeah, he thoroughly kind of, once again, it's not the first time you've seen Alvin go wide-eyed and pale. as he's kind of looking from you to your mace, and then back again. But he says, what do you need to know? I pretty much told you everything I knew the first time, and to be fair, he told me not to go back to my camp or back to the town, but I had never been to either. I didn't really know. We were more lost than seeking town per se, if it matters. But I mean,
It doesn't.
I didn't exactly mean to cross your path again, but I don't know how I got into the situation again. Somehow, he's still kind of shaking off the fog of the sleep spell. Yeah.
Well, let's put your stupidity to the side for now. First thing I want to know, was Hotma a destination or a location you stumbled upon? Because we already know you were going there for a purpose. I was wondering if you took these fine villagers hostage just because they happened to stumble across, or if you were already set to Hotma with the exact purpose of capturing these so-called rebels.
He says he kind of still kind of pale and wide-eyed. He says, "Well, we waited for Big Brucey's signal, as far as I was told, and they just told us to wait on the edge of the desert, and when we got the signal to come in, and that we were supposed to pick up any stock along the way. We never actually made it to Hotma. Nobody in my crew, anyway. I can't speak for Big Brucey and his crew here, but none of my crew ever met up with Big Brucey, as far as I know. Maybe Little Brucey, but that was about it."
Glader's gonna kneel down on the go to one knee in front of him while Locris is interrogating him, and lay his sword across his leg and pull out a whetstone and just start sharpening it as he stares at Alvin, just to kind of reiterate that he better tell us everything he knows.
Blade kind of leans over, seeing him do this, and just kind of goes, "Oh, that would hurt."
So you know nothing is what you're saying.
I
Want to ask your buddy?
I don't know anything other than what I've already told you, except for when I came to camp, Brucey could tell that I wasn't in the best shape. Couple of cuts and bruises, and looking parched as I was. Brucey offered me some water and asked me what happened, and then I told him, and then he gave me some clothes and fresh gear, and then you guys showed up essentially.
Yes, and you decided to start shooting at us. Now,
I mean, wouldn't you?
Locris is going to stand up, look over at Glader. Well, I'm not wowed. So what do you think? Quick death or long death?
Yeah, I'm not exactly wild either, but I don't know. So there's nothing else you can tell us about what's going on here. And well, I guess I'll wait to see what he says. But yeah.
I mean, I was only with the crew here, aside from where you guys had left me and then re-encountered me. I've only been with the crew maybe overnight, if that. Just enough to get a bit of food and a bit of rest. Aside from these guys here, I didn't exactly make friends, thanks to Little Brucey. You see,
I believe him.
Your guys' exploits when I told Big Brucey about Little Brucey and company, he promoted me, and it didn't really sit well with the others. And you notice. Go ahead and give me an insight check. I'll give you the basic stuff, but I'll give you something extra if you roll well.
19.
Yeah, I was going to be looking at him too to see if I saw any like hints of being completely honest.
Okay, yeah. Give me an insight check.
It's 18.
I got 9. Yeah, I got 19.
Okay.
Natty.
So you do notice that maybe he's telling the truth. You recall him removing his badge and throwing it in the sand and kind of taking off when you guys last left him. And it looks like not only did he get a new badge, but it's now a silver badge as well as before when it was like a copper or a bronze badge. It looks like Brucey gave him a little bit of a bump in rank.
Lady, perhaps we should see if your family and the rebels are okay. Maybe they would like to have a word with our friend here. After all, maybe they feel wronged and have some questions.
Mhm. All right. I guess we're the jury's still out on what we're gonna do.
Wait,
with
I think now, hear me out. I think that maybe you guys were right about one thing, though. Maybe it's possible that not everyone they caught is rebels. You see, I've only been with the outfit a short time, but how much of a rebel could, old ladies and young children be? To be honest, there might be something foul afoot, but that's everything I got. Yeah, maybe worth an extra day of life. He kind of like looks over to Gladier, hopefully.
Now that is slightly more interesting than everything you've told us thus far.
Not
But in
particularly.
defense,
All he did was admit that a bunch of shepherds probably aren't rebels,
No,
which is already obvious.
no, I think he reaffirmed our thoughts that perhaps someone in Gladiator Village wasn't who they were portraying to be.
I think he's alluding to this being somewhat of a inside job. That someone betrayed the rest of the village. Is that kind of what
You
he was saying, DM? Is that like what he was hinting at? Was that the vibe we got?
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
can I roll on that too?
Is Renwick within earshot of this, by the way? Or am
Yeah,
I,
I mean, I imagine you guys are all pretty close together. What? Logus knocked a dude out with like a blunted arrow. Are you guys gonna like restrain this guy? I assume. Currently, he's just snoring, but there is another captive that is unconscious.
wasn't the dude that got knocked out Alvin? I thought he was the last one.
Okay, Alvin got hit by Blade's sleep spell, but Logus
yes.
knocked out a guy at the very end of combat. But the guy he knocked out was next to Gladier and Renwick. So I assume you guys bound this guy.
Yeah, we would have absolutely bound him. I totally thought that Alvin was the guy that we knocked out. I forgot about the sleep spell. I missed that. My bad.
I rolled a 15 insight.
What was it on an insight?
15 for Logus.
I rolled 16.
You would get you sense that he's telling the truth, but you also get the vibe that he's just kind of not in the loop. Like he was just kind of duped into doing his like soldierly duties. It's not that he's lying; it's that he doesn't really know.
Yeah, based on the way he was talking, to me it came across as oh, I think you guys might be right that they're not all rebels. I mean, look, there's a little old lady. Why would she be a rebel? Like, no shit, Sherlock.
I thought he was saying like maybe they got information from the inside or whatever.
If this crew did get information from the inside with those insight checks, even just kind of mediocre insight checks, you would realize that this dude probably wouldn't have much to do with that aspect of this trade.
Yeah, you'd be better off searching Big Brucey's body for a note, or his caravan for a note from the inside source, rather than them telling the peons.
Yeah.
This is assistant shift manager, not the general manager.
Renwick's gonna step forward and just be like, "Well, we need to get these people out of the cages, and something seems a little strange about this whole situation. And there's one guy that we needed to talk to anyway, and that guy is Tark, and I'm willing to bet he's in one of these cages. And if anybody's got answers about something going on behind the scenes, it's probably him. That, and we need to find Rogar. So if you guys want to start looting the bodies and check out Brucey's cart, I'll start getting these cages open."
You know, Gladia, I'm pretty surprised that you're not more inclined to find your family as soon as possible.
Yeah, like at the mention of Rogar's name, he kind of snaps out of his anger and just like an oh shit moment, and he just kind of comes to a realization and just like starts booking it over towards the carriages that were like cages, and just
All right,
And when
as Glader turns to leave, Locris is going to shout out, "Judgment!"
that's
Renwick's gonna yell out, "Flip a coin!"
yeah.
Blade's just gonna kind of look over at Locris and just say, "Make it quick."
Yeah. Do what you do. We warned him. We gave him fair warning. We gave him a chance to get out of here. And,
Locris is going to change his Morning Star to a battle axe, knock Alvin down onto his knees, and kick him in the gut so he bends over, and behead the bitch.
Okay, give me an attack roll. You can make it with advantage because he's bound and restrained.
23.
That'll hit. Go ahead and roll that damage.
Well, I hope you make it just a painless one hit.
Me too. This is on you.
The one on damage.
11.
With an 11, you come down like clean and smooth and strong, and you hit him like right in almost a perfect beheading, but you don't quite decapitate him. You leave a few inches of flesh still gurgling, and he's still enough alive to look over at you with a mouthful of blood and gurgle something, but he is not dead after the first blow.
I'm gonna hit him with a cure wounds.
Why don't one of you find Tark and bring him over before I finish this so he can see what happens if you don't answer properly? Nah, that's messed up even to me. All right, I'll give him another.
I can heal him if you want.
All right,
his head is halfway off.
23 to hit and 12 damage.
That'll finish him off. You definitely finished the clean sweep, the not so clean sweep. Could have been clean for like a hammer. Should maybe not an axe.
It's so rough when you don't just end it on the first chop.
That's some like fucking psychopath shit. I cut halfway through his neck. Cure wounds. Do it again.
Now try at a different angle, and remember, let your hand slide down so it meets. Oh, good job on that one.
Some real sadistic group we got here. Jesus.
I mean, he plays the half abyssal creature well. So if you guys approach the slave cages and whatnot, and there are 3 large like padlocks on the outside. And like before, in similar fashion, all of the captives are blindfolded, bound, gagged, chained by neck collars and leg braces. They are kept in a pretty restricted state. Not many of them are even aware that you guys are around.
These people are fucking animals. And he's gonna pull out his thieves' tools and start trying to pick the locks on the cages. And he'll look at Gladier like, while I start picking these, why don't you see if you can't find anything on Brucey's body? There's probably a set of keys, maybe a note or something that might lead to wherever this came from. And as he's picking the locks, he is gonna like kind of try to see if he could recognize Tark or Rogar just by like stature or maybe like the clothes they have on. He can't see their faces, but he might spot something he recognizes.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check for your lock picking. You can use like your proficiency as well, and then go ahead and give me like a standard perception check.
I don't think they've ever seen Rogar. They've seen Tark, but I don't think they ever met Rogar.
I thought we went to your uncle's house before we left the town, didn't we?
We were going to, but
okay. Well, I
when
guess
that
I'm just
whale
looking for
popped up.
Tark then. But yeah. So with Nettie. Oh wait, I can reroll once. I fucking love that. And change to an 18 plus 5 stealth to proficiency 25 for the lockpick.
That'll do it. You you start popping those locks pretty quick.
And perception check is an 18 for a dirty 20.
In this particular cage, as you're you pop the locks and you swing the door open, you don't notice Tark. You don't notice anything in particular about this group, but one guy, it's a human, at the very end of this in this cage, he's shackled just like everybody else, but only one captive or slave does not have a blindfold or a gag on and whatnot. Like, he's still captive like everybody else, but he doesn't have his arms bound behind his back. They're kind of bound comfortably in front of him. You definitely get the vibe maybe he got a little special treatment from the guards for some reason or another. But you also note that he is not dragonborn. He is human.
Well, before he goes to, I guess, kind of like as he's moving along in the direction towards Big Brucey's body, he's going to be like, Gladiator's going to be looking for his family, like kind of just calling out their names, and seeing if he could figure out which one they're in, because I believe there's 3 cage carried.
Correct. There's 3, and so you call out to them?
Yes.
Okay, let me roll a die real quick.
Logus is going to be like, Gladiator, go look for your family. I'll touch the bodies and everything.
You call out, and everybody's just kind of like a thrumming mass of a few of the locals must recognize your name, and it seems like they're getting excited, but for the most part, they can't really move or see, or they're pretty much on lockdown. But they all start getting pretty excited, and you hear a familiar cry of your young cousin Dragonborn, and she cries out to you from within one of the cages. Glay, is that you? Glay, over here! And she's you see a Dragonborn that is not bound or gagged within the cage, waving over to you, sticking her hand out and flopping it around.
Carrie, I'm coming. Renwick, over here. This one next.
I rolled a 16 on investigation on Brucey's body.
Okay,
Um,
I'll roll up with that in just a sec.
So Renwick is going to call over to Gladier when he wants me to go unlock that cage and just be like, I need you to keep an eye on this one. Something tells me there's a story here, but I don't quite trust it. And he's going to kind of like point to this human prisoner that's not tied or like not as heavily bound. And then once Gladier comes over, he's going to head over and go, I guess, pick the lock on that cage.
Okay, give me another sleight of hand check with your tool proficiency.
22.
Okay, and both of you guys give me another perception check.
10.
I'm on rolls. Rolling good tonight. Hopefully it rolls over into any what's it called? Combat. 17 for perception.
So you and you notice kind of similar to something that Renwick had seen before. Almost everybody in this cage is like bound and gagged and blindfolded and restrained behind their back. But there are a pair of humans that are, while still slaves, they look to be less bound. You know, they're not blindfolded, they're not gagged, they're bound in their front instead of behind them. And as far as you could tell, Kiri is kind of behind these two guys as you guys enter, and it looks like she is not bound in any way, shape, or form by any manacles or blindfolds or anything. And from what you get, it looks like she was kind of hiding behind them.
So was Carrie in the first cage that Renwick already opened, or
the cage that he just opened now?
So is there 3 humans total?
Three humans total, and 1 cage that has not been visited.
Okay.
But Kiri runs to you, and she's just like overjoyed, and she's just like, Clay, I told them that I knew that you would come for us. It was like a sign from the gods. I knew you were coming, Clay. Thank you so much. I knew it. I told them. She like jumps into your arms. She grabs you and gives you like a big hug.
Yeah, he would kind of hug her back and like pick her up and swing her around. Well, as much as he can swing around in the crowd. Don't worry, you're safe now.
She's like, I knew you would come. I wasn't even worried. These guys were real worried, but I figured you were on your way. I knew you wouldn't let us get taken by these guys.
Do you know where your parents are? Where are they are they in here too, or different cage?
The middle cage is where they kept mom and dad. They separated us and threw me in here, and these guys were kind enough to hide me.
Later, would kind of walk up to him, a little skeptical. I want to like give him a glance over. I'm assuming I don't recognize them, but he would just be like, "Well, thank you for keeping my cousin safe, Glader. What are your names?"
Sorry, give me just a second.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry about that. Okay, so as you ask their names, they kind of look skeptically to each other, and look back to you and well, I'm Nico, and this gentleman here is part of my crew. There's a few of us locked up with these unfortunate souls. Care for a hand? You care to release us? Or?
How did you get caught up in all this?
He takes kind of a long sigh, and he's got like a gristled, kind of graying, like 5 o'clock shadow, and he says, "Well, it's been some time since I was a free man. Some time indeed. Brucey not above selling cargo to the slave trade, but." He's not above buying them either. I'm what they call a skilled slave, I guess. They treat me a little better because I have a particular talent other than labor that they'd like to exploit. But essentially, I'm just like these folks here. I've been held against my will for years. I used to be a merchant in and around Gethmara Keep. Used to be my trade years ago. Now, I'm a servant to a madman in the desert.
So you're a leader of a small crew of slaves, skilled slaves, I'm sorry. What's your skills? What do they use you for, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, Nico and Nico's crew were just good, mercantile, artisans. We build tools, we use tools, we do just about anything needed. From common labor to a little bit of construction, maybe some tool maintenance. It's not Brucey that's making those chains and cages. Unfortunately, I don't really have a choice, but it's me and my crew that turn those ingots into something worthwhile.
Do I believe it?
Give me an insight check.
All right. That's awful. Not as good. 10.
You're not sure. You could go either way as far as you're concerned.
All right. Well, we're getting everyone out of here, and so just get on out of the cages, and we'll get everyone freed. But we just got some more people to get out for right now, so I'm not gonna. No offense, but I'm not stopping to, untie each individual person. I really want to get everyone out of these cages, just in case there's more of these slavers coming around. So let's all get out of here. Kiri, come with me, and I'm just gonna grab Kiri's hands and pull her out of the cage, and move on to the final one. I'm guessing with Renwick.
Okay, as you guys kind of move to the final one, Logos, you kind of go through Brucey's pockets and whatnot, and I mean, with that roll, you're gonna get pretty much everything. Brucey has the following gear you find upon him: a studded leather armor, a dagger, a silver scimitar, a pouch of fine tobacco and cigarette papers, a leather pouch with some rough cut gems inside. And so go ahead and roll me a 1d10 and then double that. And that's how many rough cut gems are in this leather pouch. Also, go ahead and roll me a D100.
Can you run back through those first couple items? I just want to make sure I got them all.
Certainly. So,
you, sir.
Upon Brucey, we got a studded leather armor, a dagger, a silver scimitar, a pouch of fine tobacco and cigarette papers, a leather pouch of rough cut gems, which 3, so we're going to double. It's 3 times 2, so 6. So it'll be 6 rough cut gems. Each rough cut gem is worth about 10 gold pieces. And a 61. Fucking fancy for you. You come across a potion stuffed in Brucey's coat pocket. Now, you recall during combat, he drank a health potion and an invisibility potion. And there is some kind of magical swirling liquid in this vial, and it just kind of sparkles and glows. It's obviously some kind of potion, but of what, you're not 100%.
Does the studded leather, does it change anything in the AC?
I mean, it's just a standard suit of studded leather, but it's also like gnome size. You might have to get it like resized.
Oh, true. All right.
Okay, so Gladier, as you and like Renwick kind of Logos. Also, one thing you find on Brucey is a set of keys. Strangely, the same like kind of a brass lock material as the locks, or brass metal material as the locks on the giant cages.
So as I'm searching through, I'm gonna grab them and yell to Gladier. Here, I think these are what you're looking for to free your family. Found them on Brucey, and I'm gonna toss them to him.
Oh yeah, he would snatch those and open up the final cage, or attempt to open up the final cage. Might not be the key for it, but is it like a ring of keys, or is it just one singular key?
It's a trio of keys, but it looks like it opens one lock on each cage.
Okay, yeah. So you just try all 3 until you got it. Last one.
Do you catch the keys cleanly, or is there a fumble? How good are Gladier's hands?
Give me like a dexterity check there, Gladier.
Do I roll? Can I roll one too to see like how well I throw it to him? I might just fucking botch it straight into the ground.
Yeah, go ahead. You too.
Really well too. So
It's where you found out Logos' dad never taught him how to throw.
yeah, I rolled a 18 on dex check.
I rolled a 12. Not the best throw, but
it wasn't a tight spiral. You didn't quite grip it and rip it, but you threw the nice little lob. The athleticism of Gladier made up for your shitty throw, but it wasn't too bad, I guess.
Just like no look, snatch it out of the air.
I was low key hoping I rolled a natural one, so I could just fucking throw him straight into the sand or something.
You spike it. So you take the key ring and unlock the final cage, and you find your uncle and aunt amongst those that are bound and gagged, and Tark as well. And go ahead and give me a perception check as you kind of enter this cage.
I think Renwick was with me too. So
okay, him too. Both of you guys give me perception checks as you enter this cage of people.
Because we were originally going to try and pick the lock, but then we got the key. I'm on fucking fire tonight. I rolled an 18.
I also got an 18.
Nice. Look at us.
Save it for combat. Hey, that's why you always go down.
Like fucking everything under 10 if there's a combat now.
So you guys notice right away there is another a human that's just kind of loosely bound here in this cage as well. And you notice as you're kind of freeing everybody, like everybody's a little jostled. There's some good-sized bruises and cuts and scrapes on a few people, but Tark and your uncle have had their asses thoroughly handed to them. They are bloody lumps. Neither of them is conscious. It looks like the two of them were the only two really capable of fighting back, and they got the business for it.
Okay. Yeah, Glader would first run up to his aunt. Say, Kava, are you alright? Are you hurt?
I mean, they were rough, but it was only those that resisted that they really hurt. Where's our daughter? Where is she? You know, she spots Kyria and runs to her and embraces her, and and like they both kind of like burst into tears, as they've been apart for a day or more.
And then as she does that, Glader's gonna walk up to his uncle Rogar and Tark, and shit, do I even have it? Ooh, yay, paladin spell slots. I'm just gonna walk up to them, kneel down beside them, and just place a hand on each of them, and give them each 5 hit points with lay on hands. Just my
Logus
hand.
is gonna tell Glader, if you want to save that, I have berries they can eat that will wake them up.
We don't know if anything else is coming. I'd like them to have a little bit more than 1 hit point. I mean, 5's not much more, but something.
I mean, I could technically give them 5 berries each.
Not true. Okay, scratch that. So he's just gonna so are they like unconscious, like knocked out?
They're knocked out, and despite being knocked out, they still have their hands bound behind their backs, blindfolds on, and have been gagged. But neither of them is conscious. And both of them look to have taken a pretty serious beating.
Is it like just rope binding their hands, or
so it's just leather binding their hands and their eyes and like gagging them, but they are chained like around the neck and the ankles to get as like one kind of get up.
Okay. He's gonna kind of, I guess, just like move them side by side, and then just like get an arm underneath each one of their arms, and just kind of try and slide them out towards the edge of the cage. So, and then call over to Logus. Logus, can I get some of those berries that you got so many of? That'll help. They're beat pretty bad. I think we need to try and bring them back up.
While I'm looting the bodies, I'm gonna start flicking the berries at them. Another dexterity roll.
It's just funny to think of you like in the deep dark shadows, and like you're just like, hey, can I get a berry? And it just flies from out of nowhere and like fucking hits him in the forehead,
Just for flavor, because they're both pretty big dragonborns, I'm assuming. Can I just roll a strength check to see how well I do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're kind of like bound and gagged in a weird kind of way, so it's not like you could just like fireman carry them. Like it's gonna be an awkward carry for sure. Give me a strength check as you kind of get these guys out the door. Good thing there's berries. I'd hate to have to start doing death saves.
Of course, I get a shitty roll when I call myself out to do a roll. That's an 8.
You get them to the point where you could safely administer the berries, but it's definitely not graceful. You bonk their heads into other captives, and you jostle them here and there, smack them on the door frame on the way through. But you get it, but it's just not graceful.
Fair enough.
After kind of administering a few berries to each of them, they kind of kickstart back to life with a deep breath. They shake it off and kind of slowly look around their surroundings, and your uncle turns to you and Oh, Glade here. Thank you so much. I knew you would come through for us. I could not believe my luck when I knew that at least if anyone could do us justice and serve Hor's vengeance, it would be you. I am so grateful. Hor must have heard my prayers. Yeah, he's gives you a fucking big embrace, and you notice like right away, Tark doesn't really make eye contact with you. He just kind of bows, but he immediately goes to like aiding others. You know, he doesn't even waste a single breath or a single second. Tark finding like all his people around him in such a bad way is like, you could see that he's like visibly overwhelmed, and he just starts kind of like, you know, immediately helping everyone he can, you know, untying blindfolds and you know, wrists and freeing people and you know, and kind of goes to like organizing like people and getting them with their shit together. You know, it's the most leadership you've ever seen out of Tark ever.
Yeah. Uncle, do you know what's going on with Tark? He's, man, I know he just got beat within an inch of his life, but he's still acting a little funny.
Well, when we are in more private company, we will talk. I do believe he's having some feelings. Believe it or not, the Tark turns out handles himself well. They had to bury a couple of comrades thanks to mine and Tark's resistance.
Well, serves him right. All right, Uncle. Kava and Kiri over there, if you want to go see if they're all right. I'm sure they'd like to see you too.
As soon as you say her name, he dashes, you know, and like he joins his family and you know, in a big embrace, you know, and you know, cue a long happy crying.
All right, and I guess Vader's gonna meet back up with the rest of the group and see what they have in mind. So,
Yeah, as you guys kind of you guys are kind of free to do your thing. As you guys free the captives, they go about collecting themselves and helping themselves, you know, to their feet, and not only that, but you notice a lot of the stock is kind of you know, outside of this ring of wagons, and many of them, the healthier, less injured people, kind of go about to herding up the goats, and it's pretty apparent that these guys are heading back to Hatma as soon as possible.
so yeah, Glader's gonna kind of like wave everyone over, kind of off to the side, a little further away from the group of the Hot Mall citizens. All right, so spoke to my uncle real quick. He has something that he'd like to discuss once we get in a little bit more private area. So I think you guys should come with me. Tark is acting a little funny, but I can't tell if it's just because he almost died today or if there's something else we might be hiding. So I think my uncle might be able to clear some of that up. And yeah, but we should take what we can. I think we should take all these wagons and that very fun looking metal wagon over there that might prove useful in the future for us.
Well, if I might offer my my 2 cents, I say we take the iron cart over there. We name it Brucey, and we take it for ourselves as a trophy, if you will. Maybe give it a nice paint job, shine it up a bit. But why don't we all ask your uncle to have a private conversation in Tark's cellar, and we'll see if we can't get more information and see if he knows anything about this. Kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. Save a step and We'll bring it with us. We'll get all the answers in one place.
Hey, while Tark's moving around and helping people, can I like maybe take an insight just to kind of gauge whether he's feeling nervous, scared, angry, frustrated? Like if I can get a gauge on just his emotions based on his body language.
Sure, go ahead and give me an insight check as you kind of watch Tark kind of interact with his people and try to help them get going.
That is a 15 plus 6, 21.
You see he's kind of very detail-oriented and task-focused all of a sudden. And, you catch him kind of looking upon his people and just like almost in disbelief. And, you get a good sense that Tark largely blames himself for some reason for being unable to defend anyone in the village.
I think our buddy Tark over there is feeling just a little inadequate at the moment in his abilities. Maybe that's why he's acting so weird.
Yeah, I have to say, my suspicions of Tark were kind of lessened once I saw the state of him that they put him in. Well, we'll get our answers. I think it is Burnwick's idea is a good idea. Get down to the basement, see what's going on with that, because the water diverting first through that other massive hole, and then now all of a sudden it's in Tark's basement. It's just a lot of answers we don't have.
Well, not to mention, Tark's the one that suggested we go down there. So if he's unwilling or he acts strange when we ask him to have a conversation in his cellar, we'll know that something's up and that his intentions were malicious. Now, this all could be coincidence, but with the way that things have played out, he might be helping his people, but I don't trust him. I think he was just fighting for his life. It doesn't mean that he didn't do something behind our backs. So why don't we'll do our searches, we'll gather the people, and we'll all head back as one big caravan just to make sure that they make it back to Hot Mall safe. And then we'll take your uncle and Tark, we'll head to the cellar, and we'll see if we can't hash this out.
As you kind of say that, somebody kind of clears their throat from behind a wagon. Sorry to interrupt. You see it's Necro and his freshly freed crew. He says, well, none of us have been a free man in a long time. I'd hate to impose, but would you mind if me and my crew went to this place with you, Hatma? We don't have any resources aside from the meager rations that these bounty hunters, he kicks one of the dead bodies, that provide us. They, just because they treat us better doesn't mean we weren't peons to them.
Now, you're welcome to travel with us, but as for where you'll be staying, that's completely up to the villagers. Now, you could make a life out here in Hot Mall, but you'll have to gain their acceptance before you make your homes here. But it sounds like they could use help rebuilding this town and maybe fortifying it a little bit better, and it seems like you guys might have the skill for that. And I happen to know where there's a cart full of masonry tools and various other tools, so perhaps you could speak to the villagers and see if you can't work something out.
Can I make an insight check on him?
Yeah, go ahead and give me an insight roll. He kind of ponders this for a minute. He says, well, we don't really have any goods, but we do have our services. I wonder if the villagers or maybe even some adventurers have need of our services. He kind of looks at you guys. We're not bad with our hands. We can make most things. Might need some time, but with the tools that Brucey had provided us, there ain't much in the way of general wares that I couldn't craft for you if I'd given the time and resources. But maybe we'll save that for another day. I'd love to stretch the legs as a free man for the first time in a while. If you don't mind, I'd catch up with you guys at Hot Mall later, if that's fine.
I just have one question for you first.
Certainly.
why'd you protect Kiri? Kiri said that you were taking care of her while she was locked up in that cell.
Because they're savages, man. I mean, you think any of these people are really rebels? You think that little girl has a slight against the Silver Queen? I mean, really.
I wrote an 18 insight.
You get the sense that he's being honest. He doesn't, he's exceptionally poor, and as a recently freed slave, he doesn't even really have claim to the tools that he's been using for this guy. I mean, like, he's kind of got nothing and nowhere to go.
Glader's just kind of, after hearing that, walk up to him, just extend his hand, shake it, and just say, well, you protected one of the few things in this life that I still hold dear. So I'll talk to the villagers, see what I can do about them letting you stay, at least for a little while, till you get back up on your feet.
Oh, man, it would be great.
How many of how many are in Nico's crew?
I think it's
Nico and 3 others. So the crew is 4 total, but Nico is the leader, clearly.
Okay, cool. Well, we do happen to have a cache of some assorted basic gear that we could at least arm your men so they're not entirely defenseless out here. And it seems like we could definitely at least use a couple extra hands around for whatever else is coming. I can't imagine this is the last we hear from the Silver Queen or any of the people that are under her reign.
Well, like I said, I'll catch up with you guys at Hotma for sure, and we'll definitely trade services. We'll donate our services for you, kind of donating yours as adventurers and heroes, I guess. I don't know. What do you call it? Liberators? But if there's anything we could do to help, we'd be more than happy to help. These carts are full of wares and tools, and the various goods of all this crew here. And Brucey's kind of a savage dude, but he's got a nose for valuable trinkets and things. I'd double check that trailer if I was you. But we're gonna head out. Hopefully, there's a water source nearby. And he kind of bows low and kind of gestures to his crew to follow the shepherds back towards Hotma.
And I guess, we want to loot all the bodies, all the carts. Let's just make sure we don't miss anything, comb over it, do it twice. Take our time with it. We're not necessarily in a rush, but let's find some shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the bodies all at once, and then we'll have you guys do some investigation checks as you kind of go through the wagons. But the bodies, okay, so we're gonna do the gold first because it's the easiest. There are 10 enemies, including Brucey. That makes 11. So, but don't worry about him. So 10 enemies. It'll be they each have 1d10 times 2 gold. So 10d10 and then double it, and that's how much gold coins you guys come across. Go ahead and roll that out, one of you. Then the 4 bards, so each of these is times 4. They have a silver lute, a club, a short sword, studded leather armor, and an average cloak and clothing. And then, do you need me to type that out, or did you catch that one?
It's a 67.
Silver loot, club, short sword, studded leather armor. It's 67 times 2 gold.
No, just 67.
No,
Oh, I thought it was times.
It's definitely times 2.
Oh,
no.
okay. Cool.
Oh, sorry, yeah, my bad. Sorry.
And so I think I got all that so far.
Okay, moving on to the rogue bodies. You have a vial of poison. Now there's 6 rogues, so each of these is times 6. So you have a vial of poison, a dagger, a club, a short bow, leather armor, and there's 6 rogues, so each of them has 1d6 arrows. So you'll roll 6d6, and that's the amount of arrows upon the rogues.
Damn you,
Renwick
Renwick.
beat you to it, man.
So 11 arrows.
Logos.
Correct.
If there's nobody that needs any arrows, I will take those 11 arrows if everyone doesn't mind.
Yeah, I don't use arrows. Those are all you, buddy.
Okay, so aside from the armored wagon, there are 3 other wagons, kind of similar to the ones you encountered before. So who's doing what where? We'll see what the plan is.
I can check one of the wagons.
Okay, if you jump into, say, we'll start from the back. So you jump into the rearmost wagon, and it's very similar to the wagons you guys had encountered before. There's a lot of like iron goods, like a bunch of half-made tools, a bunch of iron ingots. There's cages, there's manacles, there's chains, just a bunch of iron, different various like wares of iron and whatnot. Go ahead and give me an investigation check as you kind of start tearing through this thing.
Roll a 50.
A 15?
Yeah.
One of the things you find in this wagon, it's a crate. As you pop it open, it looks to be like all of the looted wares. Like this is like all of the villagers' shit. Like a crate full of things that was stolen from Hotma recently. It's got a bunch of just trinkets and baubles. Like a candlestick or a medallion, like some light jewelry, but it looks like this is the valuables, the meager valuables, really, of the citizens of Hatma.
I'm gonna point it out to Gladier. Gladier seems to have found what seems to be the loot pool from your village. Perhaps you'd like to give it back to those it belongs to.
Yeah, let's make sure that gets back to them. I'm just gonna kind of turn around and find 2 of the first villagers I catch eyes with, and just kind of wave them over. All right, you guys, make sure this gets divvied out to the correct people. I'm sure everyone knows what they had beforehand. We don't want anyone taking anything that wasn't theirs. Keep watch on them. Make sure they split it out correctly. Let's get some mules tied up to this wagon so we can bring it back to the village.
Okay, and as that's going down, let's see. We got a couple more wagons. Who's next up on a wagon?
Lucas will take a turn looking at one of the wagons.
All right. So as you jump in the back, like I said, go ahead and give me an investigation check as you kind of roam through it. It's a lot, barrels of horseshoes and nails and chains, and there's a few cages and manacles and unworked iron ingots and things.
Yeah, I don't see shit. I'm not even sure it's a wagon. A natty 1.
I mean, aside from the standard gear that you had found before, you don't find anything of particular value. Just the average, iron merchant wares or whatever.
Like you were investigating, and then like you had flashbacks to where you fucked up the beheading, and kind of stuck with you.
I'm not here to look at stuff. I'm just here to kill people.
Can I search the wagon, Locris search? He's gonna come out and be like, I didn't see nothing in here. I'm just gonna double check.
Sure, give me an investigation check.
Okay, I dropped my D20, so I'm gonna roll it here. Roll an 8.
Similar contents. You know, there's nothing of any real value as far as like adventuring gear. A lot of half-made tools and chains and manacles and things.
Glader would also
All right.
like to check. No, I'm just kidding. Totally joking.
Sorry, I doubted you, friend. It does seem to be empty.
So we have the one last wagon and the
Okay, yeah. If you're gonna search the final like where's wagon, go ahead and give me a do an investigation or a perception check.
back to rolling good. That's 19 perception. Fire.
You come across it looks like to be some stashed goods. You know, in between a couple of crates where there shouldn't be something is like some stashed leather pouches. As you kind of reach and pull it out, go ahead and roll me a d100.
Oops. 46.
That comes out to once you fiddle through it, you open her up, and it has 7 gold pieces are in like a leather wrap next to a standard healing potion, 2d4 plus 2.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna pocket the 7 gold. um, but Glader would walk out and just kind of ask the group, like, "Hey, does anyone need any healing? Found this in this wagon here. Might help anyone out if they're hurting a little too much."
Well, yeah, Logus looks in rough shape after that fight.
Yeah, I'm at 2 HP right now.
Yeah, Glader would toss you the health potion.
Logus is just gonna pocket it. And I think once we get back to town, I can take a rest and I'll be right as rain. Maybe we can save the health potions for when we need them.
All right. So I would also like to inspect not the interior yet, but I kind of want to look at the metal wagon. So is that we're in like high fantasy, right? Like there's not like motors and shit. Like this is just an armored horse truck.
Yeah, it's not like anything steampunk, but it'd be like futuristic in a sense that like it'd be like a carriage you could have seen back in the day London, you know, like a horse-drawn carriage, but rather of being made of like the pleasant like wood grain and architecture and whatnot, it is a carriage made entirely of iron.
All right, well, I'd start untying some of the mules, like as many as I can. I'm guessing I can get a rough idea of how many I would need. Definitely more than a regular wagon.
Go ahead and give me a perception check as you kind of go to handle these mules.
Oh, not great. Not good at all. That's a 7.
Yeah, they're mules, desert mules.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab. So I'm assuming I would have like the general knowledge. Alec doesn't have the general knowledge, but I'm assuming Glader would have the general knowledge of how many mules it takes to pull a regular wagon, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you notice that the hitching post is posted up outside of each like wagon in the circle. They don't like let the animals in the interior of the circle. You know, keeps it free of droppings and stuff for camping.
Okay.
So they keep them all hitched on the outside ring, and it looks like each cart has its own hitch for its own mules and whatnot. So each of them is pulled by a pair of mules.
Okay, yeah.
Renwick is gonna call out and be like, "I think we should check Brucey's cart, but let me check it for traps first." And while I do that, if you remember, back in that other caravan, one of the rogues had a stash underneath the cart. Make sure we check underneath as well. There might be something hidden in there. And he'll go and attempt to check Brucey's cart for traps as he starts to open it up and search it.
Okay, so you're checking inside Brucey's cart for traps or outside Brucey's cart for traps?
Well, like, I guess outside first as he's opening the doors. Like, he wants to make sure he's not going to, like, open the door and have something blow up.
Give me an investigation check as you kind of move up to this cab and go to open this door.
No, he doesn't. Later, just going to be
5.
Sorry.
Okay, so this wagon is an enclosed cab made of iron. It's got a door and a few like barred windows on either side, revealing only like red curtains within. Well, you notice that it is locked. So, but you don't see any traps.
Well, I'll pull out my handy dandy thieves' tools and attempt to pick that lock.
Logus is going to see him do that. Renwick, we have his keys.
Oh, I just do this for fun.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check real quick. And
with proficiency, that's a 21.
Nice. Yeah, you popped the lock, no problem. Hey, Logus, before Renwick goes inside, go ahead and give me a perception check real quick.
Oh, man. Oh, that's... Well, wait, that's a 15.
You notice that the mules that pull this wagon are not really mules at all. They are actually, kind of stout, a desert breed of horses. They are actual real horses, not donkeys that pull the metal cart. Renwick, after you pop the lock and enter this armored wagon, you see silk red curtains cover the windows and a deep red carpet covers the floor. Plush red pillows sit on benches, and there's a couple of benches, one across from another. They're all trimmed in gold stitching, and a fancy red netting covers like a storage shelf above one of the windows in the carriage. And a pair of leather traveling cases can be seen within this storage shelf, as well as a wooden trunk sits underneath one of the benches. It looks like a pretty cozy little personal quarters of Brucey.
How many horses were there total?
2 horses that pull the iron wagon, and the rest of them are donkeys, but there are 12 in total.
Well, I'm gonna start rummaging through his shit. I imagine as he does so, though, he's sliding his hand along the silk curtains and being like, "Man, this guy really liked to live in luxury." And it looks like everybody else around him just lived in squalor. He was like a sponge, just soaking everything up. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna check that storage shelf and pop the leather cases open and the wooden trunk and see what there is to see.
Okay, so you pull the like leather storage cases off of this like little storage rack. Go ahead and roll me a D100 twice.
A 36 and a 45.
So, in these little traveling cases, these leather parcels, you discover each one contains a standard healing potion, 2d4 plus 2. Also, one of them contains a very old kind of map of the region, and the other contains what appears to be a pair of masterwork short swords.
Oh, well, those fancy. Sweet. And you said there were 2 standard healing potions?
Correct. 2 masterwork daggers, 2 standard healing potions, and it looks to be like a rolled up map.
He'll call out of the cart as he's. I guess he'll lean out of the cart and just be waving the short swords out and call out and be like, "Somebody want these? They're pretty fancy." And then he'll, I guess, like stick them into the sand and go back in there and pick up the masterwork daggers. And yeah, I mean, if anybody else wants to come in here and loot, by all means. And if not, then I'll just keep opening shit and see what we got.
Yeah, so all that's left is the trunk. Let me flip my page back over here. As you roll through the trunk, go ahead and give me another roll on the D100 real quick. What was that roll?
35. Sorry.
Okay, so we've already done 35, 36, and 37. Give me one more roll.
68. Almost nice.
You also find a vial of like this swirling, glowing, kind of sparkling liquid. You can tell it's some kind of potion. It's got some kind of arcane aura to it, but as far as what it is officially, you're not sure.
And just potion in there.
Aside from the potion, there is also 1d12 plus 1 platinum. So you can roll that out real quick. And a large leather-bound, like, it looks to be like some kind of book. It looks to be like, it's not locked with a lock, but it's like bound with like a leather clasp.
How much gold was that? It was 1d12.
1d12 plus 1 platinum.
Cool. I rolled a 7, so mark that down. And then you said a book with a leather clasp. And you said there was a storage shelf with some netting in front of it. Is there anything in there of note?
The storage shelf with the nettings where you got the 2 leather trunks off of, the where you found the daggers and things.
They were just holding the trunks. Cool.
Aside from that, it's just a nice plush spot to chill. It's not really there's not a whole lot going on inside.
Yeah, he'll load everything up into the leather cases and pull them out of the cart and just kind of lay it out for the group. And I guess be admiring those daggers and just be like, if anybody else wants to take a look, feel free. But I think we can sort out our goods and make sure everybody's good to go and be on our way.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely ready to get my family back home.
Oh, and he'll hold up the book with the leather clasp and be like, I think we can get some answers from here, but we can always read up on it while we travel back to Hot Mall and just save some time.
What did you throw in the sand and ask if anybody wanted it?
The
Nobody-
2 masterwork short swords.
Oh,
I like stuck them in the sand. I use the rapier, so I don't really need the short swords. So if anybody wants them,
I literally carried 2 short swords on my side.
perfect.
All right. Well, we're all good to go.
Okay, so you guys are gonna I assume you guys are taking the wagons and the mules and horses and things too.
Yeah. Taking it all.
Okay, yeah, you guys load everything up and you make it back to Hatma without any too much difficulty. You notice right away that the whole village is still kind of in shambles. Doors have been kicked in, furniture smashed, everything thoroughly looted, and it looks to be like the village is kind of going about repairing itself. And Nico and his crew are kind of offering their services, and they look to be pretty efficient, and it's not much time at all, and they've already repaired several doors and patched several windows. They're pretty efficient at repairing structures, it looks like.
Would you say that the ride back to Hotma would be the equivalent of a short rest?
Yeah, it's about an hour's travel, so it's only about noon, and it's hotter than the blazes of hell in the middle of the desert. But you guys have re-arrived at Hatma. You notice, like, as the villagers are kind of going about their way, a few they all seem to be like teaming up. It looks like a few crews start cleaning up this or that. A few other crews start tending to everyone's stock. A few other crews are on repair duty, and others on medical attention duty. Nobody's too hurt, but and they had been kind of beat up, and this is the first time to get bandages and ointments and salves and things. Aside from that, you guys kind of arrive with this wagon train right outside of the Naked Ass Inn and Tavern.
Hey, Renwick, can I see that book you found?
Yeah, I'd like to see what's in there too.
Yeah, he'll toss it over, and he'll also say, while you're at it, if you don't mind, you know a bit more about the arcane than most of us, so perhaps you could take a look at these potions and see if you have any insight.
Yeah.
I think we have 2 mysterious potions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I'll do my best on that, but let me take a look at the book first.
Wasn't I able to kind of tell that it was a potion of invisibility because I saw Brucey drink one?
I mean, you saw Brucey drink a potion, but you didn't see Brucey drink necessarily this potion. It could be a potion of invisibility, you don't know.
Alright, so Renwick hands me the book and I open it.
Okay, so it looks to be a ledger of activity. Not only that, there's a few notes and things scribed in it. Go ahead and give me, we'll say, an investigation check.
Alright, 19 for investigation.
You kind of thumb through it, and you realize it's kind of a lot of difficult to follow entries, but you can assume it's some sort of code for something. You're not 100% on it, but it looks to be some sort of ledger of activity. It doesn't necessarily say captured slaves here, sold slaves there. But you can assume with the guy's liberal use of the word stock that that's kind of more or less what's happening. And it's quite an active ledger, and it goes back some time.
Renwick's gonna pipe up and say, "No, I'm just tossing this out there, and it might not yield anything. But we thieves have rogues rather. We have a particular language. Perhaps he's hidden something in some of his wording that might tip us off." And offer to take a look at the book and see if he can't notice any thieves' cant or anything. After seeing the way that he fought, he could tell that he was a rogue.
For sure, you pick up thieves' cant right off the bat. Go ahead and give me an investigation check. I'll give you the the basics no matter what. But we'll see if you roll good. I'll give you something extra.
As Logus is in like the caravan, he's gonna look around and be like, tell the Gladier, didn't we have 2 captures from Bruce's camp? Alvin's dead. What did we do with the other one?
Oh shit.
Yeah, we did kind of forget about him.
Did you guys forget about the guy you tied up and just leave him in the desert? Like, you guys are savages, man.
No, I'm sure he would have gotten brought with the people, but yeah, I mean, we did forget about him.
Let's we threw him in the back of a wagon, and we're
That's completely up to Sean. Sean might punish us here because that is the second time we've forgotten about him this session. So maybe we did accidentally leave him out in the desert.
The last time you guys forgot about an NPC that you had captured, I made sure he came back to fuck you. That was in Loot Drop, though.
This one is tied up, so he can't come back to fuck us. So he either dies or he came with us.
Okay, we'll say you've got a prisoner in tow until you decide what to do with him. But Logus knocked him the fuck out, so he's currently taking a nap.
I rolled a natural 1 on that check for the book, but I can re-roll, so natural 20. Holy shit. Highs and lows.
You pick up the Thieves' Cant like right off the bat. Like, it's pretty apparent that it is Thieves' Cant. And it looks like, from what you can tell, I mean, the ledger goes back years, but from the more recent entries, it looks like not only is Brucey's name a cover, it looks like the guy's real name is Randall. Brucey was just like a cover for his crowd, I guess. You kind of discover that the plan was, as far as Hotma, was to capture everyone, and one caravan was going to head south with all of one type of stock, and then the other caravan was going to head north with another type of stock, and they were going to capitalize on said stock, and you get a very distinct kind of vibe as you're going through that it was in fact Brucey and his hired skilled slaves or whatnot that caused the water problem. They had somehow stumbled upon that cave, and they purposefully stopped the water flowing through Hotma so that people would leave and it would be easier to come through with their slaver caravan. But you can flip. I mean, it goes back years. You can flip through it as much as you want, but that's like the most recent entries involving Hotma.
Okay, cool. So his real name's Randall, and he was planning on sending certain types of slaves north, certain types south, and he had used the skilled slaves to divert the water. Noted.
Did we get the sense that Little Brucey was the other caravan, or is that or are these 2 part of one of the 2 caravans?
As far as Renwick had uncovered, there was just Little Brucey and Big Brucey's operation. There's no third party. It was just the 2 of them.
Glader would like to take a look at that rolled up map to see if maybe there's any sort of because he's familiar with the area, having grown up in this country. So he would like to kind of see if there's anything he isn't knowledgeable about, or any like specific markings like that don't depict a city, but that might be like a secret hideout, or maybe some information on where the Silver Queen is, or just anything that stands out that isn't part of the map that he would recognize.
You recognize it as just a map of Hordenshire. It's the country of your birth, but it's just kind of like a standard map, something they would have in and around like the local schoolhouse or library or something. It's not there's no intricate details any which way, just kind of a standard map to help people navigate.
Okay, so it wasn't like a secret map or like this is where we're gonna meet and this is where we deliver that? Okay.
No, it was just a map of Hordenshire in general. Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Renwick, for pinning that so quickly. But you do know that as far as this map goes, you are the location number 7 currently is where you guys are at Hotma.
All right. Well, I guess we figured out the water issue. So I guess it's starting to really look like it wasn't Tark, boys. But I guess we can still talk to both of them and see what's going on, because there's still some weirdness with Rogar telling me to run off with you guys to make sure I didn't leave. But yeah, we can still stick to that plan and just get as much information as we can, and then decide what we're doing from there.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't seem like Tark was responsible for the water, but he did have a water source somehow under his house, so there are still some unanswered questions there. I'm inclined to think it's less malicious than we initially thought, but there's still a story that needs to be told, and I think that's definitely the next step. It seems like everybody's making preparations to rebuild the town, and I think Nico and his men seem to be quite useful in that, so why don't we let them do their work, and while they're distracted getting everything going, we'll get some answers.
Sounds like a plan to me. Is everyone else good with that?
Sounds like something to at least start with.
What do we do with the prisoner though? We question him now or?
Yeah, we'll bring him with us. Let's question him at the
Yeah.
same time.
Bring
Knock
him
it
to
all-
the basement. We don't need to have any of these people around the villagers. Let's try to let them forget about what's happened. They don't need a constant reminder in their face.
Alright, Locus is gonna say, "Hey, Locus, you should start sharpening your battle axe. Hopefully this time, if need be, you can get it in one swing."
Depending on how the questioning goes, this time I might use a stick.
Since we've been back, have I seen Tark and Rogar walking around?
Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Natural 1.
That sand's kicking up, you kind of go to look around, a nice little breeze pushes some sand right in your eye. You don't see shit.
Can I aid him and be like, "Oh, he's over there"?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Oh, you would not believe it. I rolled a natural one.
That breeze is
The
strong.
that same little dust storm right in our eyes.
It's like a dust devil just whips up real quick. Send some stinging sand to both you guys' eyes.
All right. Well, I guess we kind of gotta find. Yeah, I'm just gonna start walking around, calling out their names because we kind of need them to interrogate them.
True.
As we start looking around, Renwick's going to walk over to Blade and he'll reach up and he can't reach his shoulder, so he'll just pat him on the arm and be like, "I'm very sorry about your friend Alvin. I think you guys kind of had a bit of a connection." And then he'll just start walking off looking for Tark and Rogar, asking around.
Blade just kind of sighs and just says, "I wish we just could have worked it out."
Reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob where he can talk to the peanut and they grind the peanut right in front of him while he has the headphones on. That's just how I picture it.
That's pretty dark. Yeah, it doesn't take long. You guys are going around, and it looks like Rogar and Tark are actively helping as best they can in the community. As some of the more capable in the community, they a lot of people are looking to them for guidance and advice and help in cleaning out their homes, managing their stock, repairing their goods, and The two of them have combined with Nico and his crew and are making quick work of most repair jobs. You know, it's not taking them long, but they're repairing essentially like hovels. You know, they're not really in the best condition anyway. These are like houses made of hardened clay and sand. You know, so. But they do repair what they can quickly, and that's kind of where you find them. It's like both of them are a mid-repair job on one of your neighbors' homes, trying to reestablish their door to their house.
Before walking over, Glader's gonna look back to Blade. Like, you wouldn't happen to have any more of those charm person spells on you, would you? You got that last prisoner talking real quick. I think it might work really well with this other one that we captured.
Blade just kind of stretches his arms a little bit. Just goes, I think I could pull it off again.
All right. That's what I like to hear. All right, Rogar, Uncle, Tark, would you mind come with us for a few minutes? We have a few questions that we like to ask, and I think it might be better done in private, away from the rest of the town. They've had enough to deal with today. I think it's a discussion for more, less ears to listen about.
Absolutely. Let us go to my tavern. No one is there yet. It is still trashed from before. And Tarka kind of leads you guys back to the Naked Ass Inn and Tavern, and you guys kind of enter, and it is fucking still pretty trash. Nobody's entered. Tark kind of went about helping everyone in the community rather than coming and worrying about his own property at the moment. What can we do for you, Gladier? Thank you for coming to our rescue. He still kind of avoids your gaze. I really appreciate your heroism. It saddens me that we were taken so quickly. There was almost not a fight.
Yeah, it was a little odd that they came in exactly, not exactly, but not too long after we left. We're a little curious about if that was a coincidence or something planned. And something we're trying to figure out. But
Well, it would have been a coincidence indeed. If we had known they were coming, we would not have let you leave. You and your friends were easily or likely have slain at least a few of them. Maybe perhaps they would have thought twice before raiding the village if we had able warriors around instead of farmers and the occasional shepherd.
Renwick's gonna speak up when he says that, and he'll say, "No, Rogar, I was told that you told Gladier not to let us go down into that well without him, or not to let Tark send us down in that well without you. So perhaps there's something there that you'd like to speak about, and just see if maybe there's a connection between why Rogar made sure that Gladier went with us down the well, because Tark did send us. So like, I feel like there's a weird connection there."
Tark kind of looks over at Rogar and he's like, "Yes, please tell me what is going on here." And Rogar kind of shrugs. He says, well, we don't always trust the outsiders, and well, I was a little offended that Tark would take such a precious commodity and not even try to include someone from our community. Our fate was to be decided by outsiders, and I could not have this. Gladier was to go with the group to represent the needs and wants of our village, but I had no idea the tragedy that would shortly befall your departure.
I would like to get a read on Tark, because he's still acting weird towards me. because the way he said like hero or heroism and everything, like he was acting, still acting strange toward me. So Glader kind of would have been observing him to see if he was maybe hiding something, or like if is it like just resentment because he's like jealous that I was able to protect them better than he did, or if it's something more than that.
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Fuck me, dice. Fuck. Dice fucked me. It's a 5. Nope, it's lower. That's a 4. I had the wrong modifier.
As far as you can tell, he's definitely acting off, but it's hard to put your thumb on the why. Yes, I do not. Tark kind of speaks up. I do not know what what is to befall our village. We are waterless. We have little hope. There are slavers on the outside of our borders. What do we do? Who do we possibly turn to? What do I say to these people when they look to me for aid? What do I tell them? I have nothing for them, and I do not know what to
Well, I wouldn't say you're exactly waterless, and he'll point to the pick that is spewing water out of the wall.
Oh yeah, if you mentioned that, he kind of runs downstairs and notices that his basement is now thoroughly flooded. And it looks like a mixture between grief and joy. He's like, damn. Our village is saved, certainly, but look at all my grain. And he starts like trying to save desperately. He like dives in and starts trying to save like his dry goods that he had stored in his cellar previous. And he's just pulling up wet sack after wet sack of grain and whatnot. And you see him make his way over to the pick and kind of look at it curiously. And he tries to remove it from the wall, and it wrenches free, but blasts him with a good beam of water. Once he wrenches the pick from the wall, it's almost like a fountain or like a spring. It fills the basement, and it's crystal clear, clean water. But most of Tark's dry stock is absolutely destroyed. Well, we must take advantage of this. This is a blessing. And when the ancient rivers relocate, they are almost never seen in the same place again. I had no clue that this was even possible, but it is a blessing in disguise. I might have lost my basement, but we will absolutely be able to use this for the community. I must speak to Nico. I wonder if he could help me make this more accessible to the outside, so we don't have to come down the stairs to fetch water for goats.
So you mean to tell me that you didn't know this was here, despite the fact that there was a pick lodged in the wall, which means somebody had some intuition as to where there might be water, and I guess see if I can get like the group to be suspicious and try to get like an insight check.
Yeah, go ahead
From
and
everybody?
go ahead and everybody give me insight checks. That makes sense.
I rolled a 6, so I totally buy it.
I rolled a 19 plus 6 for a total of 25.
19. I rolled a fuck. What is that? 16.
7 for Blade.
Yeah, little Chris ain't paying attention to shit either.
Reading
Okay.
Tark like a book.
Logus, you notice in the kind of rage of everybody like trashing the place and looting, it doesn't look like somebody struck the pick clean with like intent of, say, bursting through the wall. It looks like just kind of an act of vandalism. To the walls are not very strong in these adobes. They're mostly clay and dirt. And it's all too easy to punch a hole in them or knock them down altogether. And it looked more like an act of rage than like a deliberate looking for water type of situation.
Maybe it was like one of the beefy bards. His name was Kyle, and he was a little bit hyped up on Monster Energy drink.
that fucking goat's milk really got to him, you know?
I think and with a friend might be telling the truth. It seems that the pickaxe wasn't deliberate, more of an act of vandalism.
Well, you'll have to forgive me for my suspicion. It's been a quite an eventful couple of days. But if you can forgive me, then I guess blessings come in many forms, and I'm glad this one came when it did, because it seems like the town could use it. Although we might have to relocate your bar.
I felt like my accent was going a little tart there. I was like, perhaps our friend would be a little like it was rubbing off on me.
Yeah, Tark's pretty happy about the water being found, you know, but you could tell kind of like his immediate reaction is like, how do I get this to the people? So it doesn't seem like it would have been like a, you know, kind of a greedy thing. He's very kind of a community-based person, you know, and he's only now kind of having the insight and personal reflection on kind of being like a lazy, not really motivated type, and you know, yet you know he's easily one of the more successful people around. So people kind of look to him for guidance and advice, and he's just kind of down on himself for not being there for his people, is what it kind of seems. But for the most part, you know, he is pretty stoked to have found water, and he takes a deep breath and rummages up underneath, you know, splashing about, and comes back up holding a coin purse. He was wedged in the corner somehow, and he takes from it a couple of coins, and he presses 2 platinum coins in the hand of each party member. And says, thank you for doing what you have done for my community. You are deserving of this and more, but this is the remainder of my fortune, unfortunately. I will have to learn how to run this inn. And he kind of looks up at like his flooded basement and his trashed fucking inn. Windows broken out, door not hanging on, and he's got like a long sigh. Well, it starts now, and he goes about like cleaning up.
As he like pressed the coin into my hand, Glader would have kind of grabbed his hand, not like aggressively, but just kind of like to stop him from moving on, and just kind of looked at him and just be like, "Tark, to be some sort of problem? Did I do something? Because you've been acting funny towards me since I rescued you, and you know it's giving me a little bit of an off feeling, and I'm a little concerned, if I'm being completely honest."
You've not done anything wrong. You just... perhaps later this evening when we are all ready, we must get together and we will talk about things. Nico can shed much insight on the goings on, Gladier, but without sugarcoating things, I must say, I believe you might be in danger. And not only you in danger here, but your presence here is possibly what they came for in the first place. We take you in like family, of course. We will protect you to the very end, but we would be ignorant if we didn't assume that the Silver Queen is still on a tirade against your house. It could be very possible that they came here looking for you and not anyone in Hotma.
Glader would kind of just look to Rogar and just kind of see if he had like a look on his face of recognition or agreement or anything.
He kind of looks, kind of gauges Tark for a long while and looks back to you. Indeed, I do think Nico can shed much light on the situation. We will get him and bring him in for a meal. Speaking of, what do you think? Nico and his crew have nowhere to go. Should we allow them to stay and become part of our community. Outsiders have not been part of our community in some time, aside from a few ranch hands, and we've got a good streak with outsiders, I think. He kind of looks over to Gladier and the rest of the party, but he's kind of curious as to if they should let these outsiders in or not. And Tark kind of ponders it as well, and he kind of, after some thought, he says, well, we must keep them nearby. They are skilled for now. If they wish to join the community, perhaps we could do this. It is not hard to build homes here. For now, they can stay. We will repair the rooms upstairs, and they can stay free for now. And he kind of goes, Tark goes about to kind of trying to repair his very disrepaired bar.
Yes, Glader would just kind of turn to the group, be like, well, I guess that kind of explains everything right there. Guess we can just kind of help where we can and then get Nico and their gang back here for a meal and figure out what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, so the day kind of presses on. And if there's anything specific you guys want to do, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to kind of fast forward a little bit. But the day kind of presses on, and everybody goes about, repairing their homes. Nico and crew are quite handy, and they help themselves to a few tools out of the carts that you guys had, and Tark, accompanied with them, slowly set everything back in motion and. Not only repair most of the tables and chairs and things in the inn, but Tark and Nico can clearly be heard, making plans to remove a portion of the wall to kind of give this now natural basement hot spring or water spring, not necessarily hot spring, but give it an outside access, so people could use it similar to the well. They wouldn't have to come into his establishment to get to the water. It would be free to the community once again. And you hear him kind of talking dynamics with, making it accessible. But aside from that, does anybody need to do anything before we fast forward? You do have a captive somewhere, might I remind you.
Yeah, we did bring the captive in, so I guess Renwick will look over at Locust and be like, you want to wake our friend up over there and see if you can't get some information on Brucey's side of things?
I think Locust and Blade over there combined might be able to get a lot of information out of this fella.
Locust walks up and just bitch slaps the guy.
He definitely kind of comes to barely conscious from Logus's knockout arrow.
Oh, good, you're awake. I have questions. You have answers. Let's see how well we can work together.
Who are you? What the fuck? What? Wait a minute. What happened? Why am I here? What? Oh, rebels. Oh, rebels. You guys done fucked up now. You're gonna get it. She's coming for you now. You wait. Justice will be served. You damn dirty rebels, all of you. Hope you get what's coming to you.
I punch him in the mouth.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack roll. We'll say you can make it with advantage.
16
That'll hit.
plus 0 strength.
Go ahead and make an unarmed damage.
I think it's just a D4. Ooh, 4.
D4 with add your strength modifier too.
0. So just 4 damage.
Well, 4 was enough. You give him a good fucking solid punch, and he goes back unconscious. He's not very hardy at the moment. You guys kind of whooped his ass.
Glader just kind of sighs and then walks up to him, kneels down, and places his hand on him, and then looks over at back at Blade and Locrius. I think we might need a healthy combination of aggression and some convincing, Blade. So maybe it's time you two work together. And I'm gonna use lay on hands to heal him for 1 HP, bring him back to consciousness.
Okay, yeah, he comes back with a start, and a deep gasp. And his eyes shoot up and he looks around and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Blade is going.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Locris just says, "No, this is the part where you shut up and listen, and then turn it over to Blade to."
So Blade is gonna just kind of, like you did with Alvin, just kind of walk over to him and kind of crouch down in front of him and just say, "So, what's your name, buddy?"
He spits in your face.
He takes that. Blade kind of takes out that bullywog leather scrap that he got in the cave and just wipes his face with it, puts it back in his pocket, says, "That wasn't very nice. And I think we're going to need some answers from you." And he's going to, I'm going to cast my charm spell on him.
Okay, what do you need from me? Like some kind of saving throw?
Yeah, I just need a wisdom saving throw, 15.
We're looking at a whole 7.
All right, so he is my best friend.
So tell me how this magic manifests itself as you kind of take over this guy's perceptions.
So I think I'm just going to try to keep it simple. Just kind of just gaze into his eyes a little bit and just kind of be friendly and just kind of charm him with my just a nice big smile.
His after a moment, his eyes kind of glaze over, and a slow grin develops into a cheery, like ear to ear smile, and he just kind of finds you're kind of a fascinating critter. He's just kind of looking at you adoringly.
So tell me again. Let's try this again. What's your name, my friend? My best friend.
Well, we're not supposed to share our real names, but you're trustworthy. I'm Ted. What's your name?
My name's Blade, but it's a long story with that. But Ted. Now I'd just like to kind of
Your
bring back
smile is fantastic, Blade. Let me tell you. And your clothes. How dynamic.
Well, thank you so much, Ted. It's so kind of you to say that. Maybe I'd like to get your attention and maybe we can ask you a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Anything for you. What can I do for you?
Well, Ted, you kind of mentioned that the Silver Queen, is going to be kind of on us. What does the Silver Queen? What's her business with this whole charade here? Is she after these rebels? Are these all rebels, or are we more after maybe a singular individual primarily? Maybe like my friend over here, and he points to Gladiator.
Well, I'm not supposed to tell people this stuff, but I don't think any of these guys are rebels, really. But the gold one, he's for sure a rebel. I don't know what the Silver Queen has in plan. I never really met her. It was kind of an idle threat. We kind of worship her from afar. She makes sure we're paid, so that's good. But I assume Big Brucey's the one that dealt with the Queen, if anyone ever did. I'm not 100% on that, but I know that the Brucey is pretty good at making money turning in rebels. He kind of looks around. But, well, rebels like him, they're worth so much more. You get not only a reward, ransom of a king, but you know, bringing in a golden dragonborn, especially one that can be proven to be a rebel. Oh man, that's like a status upgrade. It's more than treasure. You're given land and increased rank in the guild or military. Like, it's a big deal to catch one of them goldies around. There's not many of them left in the free world.
And do you know how he found or got knowledge of where this golden dragonborn was?
Well, we're really not supposed to tell people, but he kind of winks at you. Alvin. Alvin's the one who told us. I don't think Brucey knew anybody was here particularly. Well, I've been hanging out with Brucey a while, and it was kind of a bitch to even find Hot Ma. It took us several treks. We had to finally hire a guide, and once we had located Hot Ma, we paid the guide to leave with us, show us our way out, and let's just say, he quickly got transferred from guide to stock.
So Blade's going to kind of look back at the party and just kind of be like, "Oh, it seems like he's friendly enough, at least to me. What do you guys feel like asking him?"
Hey, look, Glader, you're popular.
It's not exactly the kind of popularity I want. Did they know for sure that I was a rebel, or they just saw that I was a golden dragonborn and wanted to take me in?
Blade,
Either way, you're worth the cash.
Where, like, can you ask them where they're taking them? Where they would have taken me?
Blade looks over to Ted and just kind of goes, "So let's say that Big Brucey had gotten a hold of, all the stock here, and maybe had gotten a hold of my buddy over here, Gladier. Whereabouts would they be taking them? Where were you? Where were you heading?"
Well, as far as I know, and he kind of like gestures for you to come closer, like he kind of like he stares at Gladier, like he wants to whisper it to you because he feels like Gladier is kind of like eavesdropping, you know. As far as I know, and he kind of whispers it to you. There, we were gonna split. We are gonna go south. We're gonna go north, and we're gonna sell our goods. But it makes sense to take the more expensive stock, south. Scale Shores is a much bigger city than Greenthorn up north. But I don't think. I think Brucey was playing the market. I think Scale Shores is where you get a better coin for your slaves. But I think all the stock, all the goats, they would have got a pretty penny as well. And he was gonna sell them up north into Greenthorn. So once he had everything he wanted, hot mob be damned, he was going to capitalize on a couple different markets before eventually meeting up with his underling and counting all his acquired coin.
So if my golden dragonborn friend here were to be captured, he would be considered valuable, of course, and would be, I'm assuming, dragged south to where the Silver Queen would be.
Yeah, the Silver Queen, she sits in the Silver Keep. She doesn't leave much, but she sees far. Somehow, some way. She's grown more paranoid since, the Great Conspiracy, but she's good. She looks out for us. She's just doing what's right. If it wasn't for all these damn rebels, we would probably have a peaceful life. But, they keep messing things up. They break supply lines. They free criminals. They're constantly badgering the resources of the Silver Queen, and it's just we gotta stop it. We gotta ensure her reign for many more years.
What was this great conspiracy you speak of?
I mean, I'm not a local, but it's like an event, a turning of the tides, I guess. It's like a historical bookmark in the chapter of Hordenshire. Something about the Silver Queen's rise to power. Bunch of gold dragonborns got assassinated, as it happens in Hordenshire. But it ended up leading to the Silver Queen's ascension as rightful ruler of the land of the Dragonkin.
Oh, well, yeah, Glader. Sounds like you guys just had it coming.
This
Glader's
guy
kind
just sounds like a fanatic. Sounds like a hopeless fanatic.
Glader just kind of has grown like steadily more quiet and just like sits back in a chair, kind of a little, a few feet behind wherever this is happening, just kind of, I don't know, very blank expression on his face, just absorbing the information and kind of like a far away gaze in his eyes.
Ted kind of whispers to you, Blade. He says, I really don't trust these guys. I don't think I'm gonna live through this encounter. You think maybe you could help me out? Squirrel me out the back door or something? That'd be an awful friendly thing to do. I'd repay you 10 times over, though. I'm sure of it.
Blade just kind of chuckles to himself a little bit and just says, the last person that we let go and trust betrayed us, Ted. And how can we be sure that you won't do the same thing? I mean, you saw what happened to Alvin. Turned him into a pest dispenser.
Oh, Alvin. He was a good guy, Alvin. Shame.
I was looking forward to the spin-off campaign of Blade and Ted's Awesome Adventure.
So,
Any other questions from Gladier? This guy just seems like a hopeless fanatic and somewhat, not even somewhat, just blatantly prejudiced towards your kind. I mean, he seems like a very bad person who follows radical ideologies to basically assassinate your kind in some bogus cause to ascend the Silver Queen.
And he clearly knew that he was enslaving people that weren't rebels. I mean, they've acknowledged the fact that they knew that the Bronze Dragonborns weren't rebels and that the women and the children weren't rebels. And they just took him regardless and were going to sell him. He was a part of that. He did attack us. He damn near killed Gladier, or at least he and his crew did. So I don't foresee a reason where we don't serve justice here.
Blade
I
will
don't think you were looking for redeeming qualities in a radical fanatic such as this.
But let's at least not do it in Tark's bar. It's hard enough to clean up.
Might I make a suggestion, please? The Tark kind of walks over to your crew. It would. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the way of Hor, our god, but we have a lot of work to be done, and Nico happens to be a very good craftsman. I think it is possible that maybe the slaver becomes the slave for a time. I would hate to shed blood for the sake of shedding blood. If a life may be spared, even in servitude, I think Hor would be pleased at the sense of poetic justice of a slaver becoming a slave.
Well,
My
as this
only warning
tragedy,
against that, Tark, is that these kind of people are not ones to be trusted. They're opportunists. You would have to keep eyes on them at all times. They're constantly bound. These kind of people don't have much redeeming qualities.
They taught me much in the short time I was with them in the ways of keeping captives. He kind of like glares at the at the guy.
well, I say the tragedy befell his people, so it's for his people to decide. And it seems like he's become one of the leaders. So if he thinks that the Ted here could be put to good use, repairing this village and aiding the people to make up and pay penance for what he's done, then I see no point in wasting a life if it benefits the life of the villagers that are trying to recover. So we'll commission Nico to build whatever we need to make this happen. No more blood shall be shed, at least for now.
Thank you. I think it is the right thing to do. Do not become a tool of vengeance, even if it might be misconstrued as justice.
Through this entire conversation, Glader's kind of standing in the background, like he had stood up from his chair, and his hand is gripping the hilt of his sword in his scabbard, and it's kind of like trembling slightly, and I don't know if anyone has high passive perception, but I'm sure someone does. But if anyone had noticed, the only reason, like, I had stood up, and then the only reason I stopped is because Tark spoke up and started saying his point of view, and so Glader is just standing there, I guess just kind of stone still, other than his like shaking hand on his hilt of his sword. And then he just turns and walks out of the tavern without a word, and just kind of walks outside.
Tark kind of looks back to the party confused. I mean, I was trying to save a life, but if Glader wants to kill him, please tell Gladir. It is completely his choice. Tark goes about repairing a few things, and you notice, like, as the sun kind of continues to bake the rest of the village, Tark slowly gets his shit together, gets a few kegs of ale up, and after a bit of cleaning, he's got found what food wasn't flooded out and soaked and soggy. He has thrown on a grate and began to cook food, and it looks like it's large portions. He looks to be probably trying to feed most of the community at this point. So Tark has got like a fucking raging like buffet kitchen setup going on right now, or he's prepping it anyway.
Lucas is going to go outside and find Gladir. So,
Okay, yeah, Gladir, you kind of left the bar. Where did you have any destination in mind?
while they're doing that, I want to make sure that the prisoner has Ted has tied up nice and tight. Maybe put some of those manacles in the wagon on him and leave him to Tart. Well, if this is the way you want to deal with it, then I'll let you handle it, see fit, and make sure that he's nice and tied up. You can put him to work however y'all see fit.
Thank you. I will see to his endured servitude for at least some time. We'll see. Maybe he earns himself the passage of death. Anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. And he kind of like shoves the guy up into the corner, and like he's still kind of dazed by Blade's effect, so he's not much use now. But Tark has kind of sat him off to the side, even though he's all manacled up. Gladier, where do you think you're heading?
He was just kind of pacing out right in front of the tavern, kind of pacing back and forth, deep, heavy, angry breaths.
You're
Sucks when
outside,
vengeance
and
is robbed
Locris
from you.
walks up.
It sucks when vengeance is robbed from you, doesn't it?
Yes, I am torn. What Tark says makes sense. That's logical. It's rational. People in town need help rebuilding, and he could be of use. And it is a form of justice that makes sense, but at the same time, I just want. Well,
No, I get it. If it were up to me, his head would already be on a spike. But that's just me. He was
At this
working
point,
for somebody, and he did some unfriendly things. And as a fanatic, his opinions aren't going to change. But at the very least, he might be able to work off a little penance. And, we do have a couple vials of poison. Perhaps you could slip some in some water and let him just die a slow, painful death.
Vader
Just
just
an
kind of
idea.
chuckles at that.
Or you leave him to your people and see if he can keep his freedom by working. But you find one person, give him a dagger, and the second he messes up, that they're willing to forfeit his life.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure Rogar keeps an eye on him and make sure he doesn't cause any other harm to this town. But
Because I'm guessing you're not planning on staying much longer.
the feeling that Tark was right. I think I brought this evil to this town, or at least made it worse.
You didn't make evil, you didn't bring evil. You just happened to be a magnet for it. And that's even worse, because there's nothing you could do about that.
I think it's about time I leave. Been here for I don't know, three years now. About 3 years too long. I need to get back on the path that I was set off for.
And what path is that?
Funnily enough, vengeance, justice, and they sometimes go hand in hand. It's a little bit of both.
And two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I follow the deity that I do now. His whole spiel is about justice. Violence repays violence. Evil repays evil. Good repays good. And I'm sure you and the rest of the group has picked up on the fact that I'm not really from here. And well, maybe I shouldn't go too much into it without the rest of the group here. They'll probably want to hear this. But yeah, I think it's about time I set off from here. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I would welcome the company. So maybe we should figure out what this Nico fella knows and move on from there. But I don't think we should stay here much longer.
Well, you go talk to your uncle. I'll get the others. We'll find this Nico and we'll all meet up and have a conversation.
Sounds like a plan.
And then I
this
walk
point,
away.
Logos will walk up. At this point, Logos will walk up as they're kind of separating, and maybe I did. Tark said you can kill that guy if you wanted to.
Oh, don't tell me that. I just worked out some of my demons. Well, maybe just put the demons at bay for a short while, but no, I think it makes sense to, it is a sick form of justice. He was enslaving people and now he's a slave. So, did evil. Now he's coming back to bite him in the ass. So I think that's good enough for now, but I will be having to talk with my uncle about keeping an eye on him because if he takes one step out of line, he needs to go down.
Well, my only suggestion would be is if you're so afraid that you have to keep an eye on him, why leave that danger around your family to begin with? I understand Tark would like to save a life, but sometimes a life isn't worth saving. That man has done horrible things. He would have done horrible things to your family. And I'm not usually one to go around killing people, but I'm also not naive enough to know that some people are better off not walking this world and causing pain and death wherever they go, and that's exactly what his group was doing. There's risk and reward in every choice you make. Leaving someone like that alive may be better for your soul when you answer to your deity, but may be hurtful to your family if he breaks free or if those slavers come back and they have a little vengeance of their own.
You make some very good points, and I think I'm just going to think on it for a short while, but I do appreciate your insight. I think we're trying to find Nico and figure out what information he has, because Dark said he might be able to shed some light on this. So, but I'll think about it. I'd like to have a word with the rest of the group too later tonight in private.
Of course, friend. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We've already been bit in the ass by being too trusting before. But I will go and try to find Nico and meet up with y'all. Where, at the tavern or at your uncle's, or where are we meeting?
I think just right here at the tavern. Tark has all this food laid out, and to be honest, I'm starving, so I will definitely be partaking.
Well, let's meet at this evening, perhaps in an hour or so.
All right, sounds good. Thank you again. Glad just kind of walk inside and sit down, glare at the prisoner in the corner.
Okay, the prisoner is very lovingly gazing towards Blade, but that's a good gift there, Renwick. That was funny. he's kind of gazing at Blade, you know, and Tark kind of encourages you guys to come in, please sit comfortable, you know. He's really working hard on you know, cutting up a goat like meat and different vegetables, and he's kind of got a spread going. He starts bringing you guys a couple plates of food, you know, and a round of a fresh frothy ale, and you know, he's just kind of slowly, you know, he thanks you, and it's kind of his way of thanking you is to provide a good meal and some ales on the house. But you notice as you kind of the hours press on, the village slowly, you know, kind of starts coming together here at the tavern. You know, a few farmers at first, a few shepherds, and then you know, here and there a few others walk in. Gladier's family, all in tow. His uncle, aunt, and cousin all kind of arrive, and you know, thank you guys again, and help themselves to some generous portions of food and drink. The younger Kiri has you know, brought like an art set, like a canvas art set, and she's kind of doing little paintings and stuff while she's talking with her family. And one thing that's kind of peculiar you notice is as you guys are going about, one of the farmers just randomly kind of sets like a large wooden bowl on a stool next to the, you know, the table the party's kind of dining at or whatnot. And periodically, people will just kind of come over to you guys and say thanks. You know, people you don't even know, people that you've just recently rescued, they come and say their thanks, and each of, you know, them, not all of them, but most of them toss like a small offering to you guys into this bowl. You know, and sometimes it's a handful of coins, sometimes it's like a trinket or bauble, you know, some gear that's considered valuable here in the desert. You know, a few well, like high quality like goat hides, as well as canteens and water skins and things. Like, you guys have slowly, like, as the evening kind of progresses, you guys are slowly kind of having like almost like an offering tray from the villagers of what they can afford to spare, and in their thankfulness, you know, you guys have got like a small pile of goods just slowly building next to your party. And eventually, the village, majority of the village, Nico and his crew included, have entered the tavern and ordered a round of drinks and some food. And you know, it's almost like a celebratory vibe. Everybody's really happy and cheersing and drinking and eating and making merry and conversation. And you know, the mood definitely uplifts.
I feel like Renwick's in the corner and he's posing like you know, he's turned over a smaller, like a tiny barrel, and he's got the Captain Morgan pose. He's holding his rapier up, and he's asking Kiri if she can paint him. And he'll just be like, "Can you make me look just a little bit taller?" Just like stands
anything.
there,
she kind of beams to you, and she's happy to somebody notice her artistic talents. And she goes to town painting like right away.
Blade is going to start. He's going to bust out maybe one of those silver lutes and start playing some music as well.
Okay, yeah, give me a performance check as you kind of strum a tune.
Logos will pull out his lyre and provide backup tunes. Maybe provide the melody or harmonies.
Okay, you can make a performance check with advantage.
I'm rolling with advantage.
Correct.
Yeah, I have a +0 to performance, so.
Well, that's just not cool. 10.
You know,
It's a new instrument.
It's a decent, you know, it's maybe a little out of tune. You got a nice little background strumming kind of going on, but after, you know, the first initial people kind of quieted to watch you play, you know, conversations slowly and casually resume around the bar.
I feel like that was my fault. I haven't played in quite a while.
Blade says, "No, it could be this loot as well. I'm not used to it, and seems to be out of tune."
As the merriment kind of is going about, Tark kind of slowly and casually makes his way over to Gladir, and he comes up to you and says, "Please, may I have a moment? Meet me upstairs, just briefly, please, for a moment of your time." And he kind of rushes off upstairs.
Yeah, Glader would just follow him up there, I guess.
As you kind of go upstairs, it's like the rooms that he rents out regularly. They've kind of been repaired for the most part. Windows are boarded up, but new glass will come in time. But he is holding a leather, like a cloth rather, and he unfolds it, and in his hands is a girdle. It's like a leather belt. It's almost something that looks kind of like a WWE belt. You know what I mean? Like it's got a really big like clasp buckle up front, but it is essentially just kind of a fancy belt, and it seems to be covered in different scales, like different colored scales, placed pretty evenly throughout the belt. But there's a different color scale for. It looks to be like every kind of dragon or dragonborn. There's a green one, red one, blue one, white one, metallic kinds, gold, silver, yada yada. And he kind of just looks to you and says, "Your uncle long ago was an advisor to your father. And well, he was very good at his job. And when they would always get together, sometimes your uncle would receive treasures that he does not need. He's a very good man, but he traded this to me once for many, many goats. And it is just dusty, gaining dust. Please, take this from me as a gift. Regardless of what happens, it is come from your family, and I believe giving it back to you would at the very least put me in Hor's favor. Do good unto others, and have good done unto you. You have done good unto me already, so I must return the favor." And he kind of gives you this odd-looking belt. It's like a girdle. And says, "Well, this is for you. Your uncle will know more, but spend some time with it. You will understand its true nature." He kind of bows to you graciously. "Gladir, thank you for everything you have done. I shines light on my inefficiencies seeing someone so capable. I will not let our village and our people fall so easily ever again." And he kind of salutes you and marches downstairs to continue catering to his guests. But he has essentially given you a magic belt of some kind. You're not quite sure what it does, but it seems to shimmer and shine with arcane energy.
Yes, he kind of Glader would have been a little stunned once he heard where the belt came from, but then like called out after him as he was walking down the stairs, like, "Thank you, thank you, Tark. Thank you." And then he just kind of sit there, standing in the hallway, like inspecting it for a moment, just kind of glancing it over, like giving it a deeper look than he had initially before heading back downstairs.
You can definitely. It's something you might have to attune yourself to understand the schematics and whatnot. But it does look to have something to do with like dragonborn heritage, maybe with all of the intricate colored dragon scales woven into this leather like girdle.
All right. Well, yeah, he would just kind of, he'd put it on, just wrap it around over his what the fuck is this thing called? The tabard. So that kind of around his waist, so it kind of like hovers over his tabard a little bit, but he keeps it a little bit higher so you can still properly see the tabard of his uh, that he wears on his waist with the golden sun on it. Doesn't want to block any of that out, but still wants to have the belt on. So yeah, just puts it on.
So this is a homebrew item. As you attune yourself to it, you put it on and kind of strut around. It is only usable by Dragonborn. This item is called the Girdle of Scales. And essentially, what this girdle does is it allows you to change your Dragonborn form for a time. And now, as a bonus action, you can activate or deactivate the belt. The belt, only usable by Dragonborn, is able to shift the color of scale of Dragonborn to any of the wide varieties. So, you can use a bonus action to become a white Dragonborn or a red Dragonborn, for the time being. Now, it has one charge per long rest, and whether you use it for 6 seconds or the entirety of the spell's duration, which is up to 8 hours, you can only use it to transform once per long rest. So whether it's 30 seconds or a few hours, you only get one per day. But not only does it allow you as a Dragonborn to temporarily shift the color of your scales, shifting your scales also shifts your breath weapon and resistances. So while you're, say, in the form of a green dragon, your breath weapon is actually acid and your resistance is actually acid. So it is kind of a handy Dragonborn only homebrew item.
Fuck yes. That's sick. All right, yeah. Definitely keeping that on. Yeah, so after he put it on, he would just kind of walk back downstairs and I guess try and find Nico and his uncle and the group, the party, and try and gather them all together so we can, find out maybe more information about that Tark was talking about, maybe more information about the Silver Queen and where to go, all that jazz.
Yeah, so you kind of round everybody up. It's not hard. They're happy and eager to kind of help you guys out. Nico, he's definitely had a few ales and stuffed his face with a good plate of food or two, and he kind of just asks you Tark and your uncle, as well as a few other locals, are just kind of nearby, but. He turns and says to the group of mostly brass Dragonborn, "Well, what do you think? I've not been a free man for some time, and it looks like maybe this village could use a few handymen, a few people to swing a hammer or tinker here or there. I don't know the ways of the desert or the ways of these goats, but me and my crew, we don't have much for anything at the moment, and just being free men, I can pledge my services to the community if you'd be willing to let us perhaps build our own hovels here, or teach us your ways, ways of the desert. Being free, something I plan on capitalizing on. I'm not going back to anywhere that the Silver Queen seems to have her claws in. And as far as I know, Hotma is the only city, the only settlement within all of Hordenshire that I've seen that doesn't directly have, an outpost full of soldiers of the Silver Queen. Either this place is too hard to find, or just not rich enough in resources to draw her ire. But if I can, this is where I'll stay. He kind of looks over to Tark and Bromir and everybody's kind of like they have hushed whispers amongst themselves, kind of debating it. Nico kind of continues. He points to to Ted, bound up in the corner. Says, "I can promise you this. I'll get my money's worth out of that one and make sure he's off all the more miserable for it too. I'll make sure he doesn't go anywhere." And he kind of looks almost too happy to now have the roles reversed of slave and slaver.
Blade is gonna just kind of turn and look at Ted and just smile and like a reassuring wave.
He's glazily eyed, kind of grins back. As the night kind of carries on, you guys notice that the pile of gear kind of slowly is starting to get bigger and bigger. It's had to be moved from like the stool to the ground next to the table. But you guys have been gifted some serious gear, and definitely scored some adventuring gear on the house. Lots of like. They're modern. They're poor people, but they do have like modern amenities of some kinds. Lots of backpacks, torches, ropes, general adventuring goods. We'll say. Nico kind of awaiting the verdict of, I guess, the residents of Hotma, kind of turns to you, Gladeer, and he strikes a match and takes a big long drag off of a pipe and kind of looks to you. Wow, it's good to know that some of you made it out. I used to work within the walls of the Gethmar Keep at one point, before the Great Conspiracy, anyway. It's good to see that not all of y'all fell to her evil reign.
You work there. What were you doing there?
Well, same as I'm doing now. Just kind of a general handyman. I can no foreigner to a bit of hard work or a bit of forge work. I can craft a few things, including tools. But for the most part, just general mercantile merchant. Not anything big city, but I made enough to get by. But things happen here in Hordenshire. Unfortunately, I had just begun my career when the Silver Queen's clutches were filled with most of Hordenshire. He takes another long drag off his pipe and kind of 1,000-yard stares for a second before snapping to. What about you? How'd you end up here? This is a bit away from Gethmar Keep, and it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I guess if you're trying to hide, you picked a good spot.
So you were there that day when it happened.
Yep, I was, and I'm not a Dragonborn, and I'm not of the Gethbar clan. The tides of war, shift within all of Hordenshire sometimes, and I just suspected it was something like that. I didn't think it was all-out genocide. It became so bad that anybody that even remotely took pity upon the Golden Dragonborn was considered a rebel. Rounded up, murdered, captured, enslaved, or worse. Your people did not have it easy.
Well, you might have known my. He kind of takes a glance around at the party and everyone else sitting at the table. Well, you might have known my father then if he worked there. Cigar Norixius. He was my father.
I've heard the name. I wasn't a big wig or nothing. I didn't get to work in like the inner keep with the those who the rulers, But I was just a humble merchant at the time. I was in the city when I saw the end of the Gethmara clan. He kind of looks over to Blade and he kind of snaps his fingers at him. Hey, why don't you give us a little jam on that loot of yours, and I'll fill you guys in on my tale. And he kind of goes to pack a little bit more tobacco in his pipe.
And Blade will rip around his lute and just kind of slowly, kind of good storytelling music, background music.
Okay, great. Give me a performance check real quick.
Damn, 13.
Yeah, you create a pleasant enough melody in the background, and Nico kind of takes a big drag off of his pipe, and it's enough to kind of quiet the room. Everybody's attention is on him, and he kind of almost looking up to Blade over there in very bard-like fashion, begins a tale. He goes, the lands of the Dragonkin, a country ran by various tribes and clans of Dragonborn. Though the many tribes and clans often unite to rally against outside foes, there is often much infighting. Tribes and clans claw their way to leadership through influence, trade, military tactics. History shows that throughout the ages, each tribe has taken the reins of leadership at one time or another. The longest reign of leadership on record just came to an end a few years back. For the last 200 years, Hordenshire has seen peace and prosperity. The Gathmara clan, or the Golden Dragonborn, and the Vikris clan, the Silver Dragonborn, have had sometimes rocky relationship, but have led the country into a great era of prosperity. The Gethmara led the northern lands and settlements, while the Vikris led the southern lands and settlements. And then tragedy occurred, thus shifting the balance of power within Hordenshire once more. The Great Conspiracy is what the locals call it. One dark and stormy night, the Gethmara leadership was dealt a lethal blow. Across all of Hordenshire, upon the same eve, in every city and settlement, the Gethmara leadership, nobles, and advisors were all assassinated. Not a single one survived, greatly weakening the Gethmara clan and strengthening all the others, but none more than Clan Vrisk. No proof can be found of their involvement in the Great Conspiracy, Clan Vrisk, but most suspect them behind it. The Silver Queen's influence can now be felt in almost all cities and settlements within the region. Their queen has seized the opportunity to gain power with surprising determination and speed and success. She rules with an iron fist and has a very militaristic view on running her perceived new country. Also had little trouble convincing or forcing others to swear an oath of servitude in her service. She seeks to dominate all of Hordenshire and has met little to no resistance as of yet. Little to no resistance except for those that call themselves the Holy Fangs. There is a small group of military veterans, all of which Golden Dragonborn, hence her obsession with fighting and stamping them out. They've made life real hard on her around here, from what I could tell. She's not well liked, but not many of them left. I imagine there's only about a dozen in total, and they don't travel together. It seems that most of their missions are solo missions. Very rarely do they team up for a large cause. They try to say scattered to the wind, but these holy fangs, whoever they are likely the last free remnants of your clan. He kind of gestures to you, Gladier. Right after it happened, the remaining of Clan Gathmara was offered a choice. Bend the knee to the Silver Queen or exile. Well, no surprise. Half chose exile, half didn't. But in her paranoia, she was too consumed with leaving the Golden Dragonborn be. She assumed the ones that had pledged loyalty were betrayers and aiding those who had escaped and those who had chosen exile. And rather than sort them out proper, she assumed that anybody involving anything to do with hiding or helping Golden Dragonborn is now a rebel and in violation of the law. She's got a propaganda machine, and it works well. Most of at least half of Hordenshire believes that these bounty hunters that come from another land altogether are just that, law enforcers, doing the righteous work of capturing rebels, making it a safer place for you and me. But in all reality, she's just turned a blind eye. A large portion of the Silver Queen's resources, are now ran by slaves rather than hiring employees or whatnot. Turns out, if you force people to do the labor for you, your overhead's a lot bigger. Your bottom line's a lot bigger. Her whole country is now damn near ran by slaves she's gathered in the north, or at least the southern half of the country is ran by slave labor, and she's making a hefty profit off of it. These bounty hunters ain't what they seem. They're not a guild of bounty hunters, as far as we know. They're a guild called Shadow Specialists. They came from somewhere, not here. But they're newish to Hordenshire. They showed up about the time of the Great Conspiracy, coincidentally enough. Independent units. Big Brucey is just a single cell in a larger, more organized, more secret organization, unfortunately. But, well, I don't think they know much about Hotma or that there's a Golden Dragonborn here, or they would have sent a lot more than that ragtag group, I'll tell you that. But I don't think hiding from the Silver Queen is gonna go too far for little Hotma. I imagine it's only a matter of time before she marches through here. But what can you do? We're stuck with her ruling the way she does, with her influence. I mean, she's got not just a few, like whole guilds, whole squadrons. Her silver soldiers are the law, the respectable law in almost every city and settlement in Hordenshire now. And she's fooled most of the people into believing these bounty hunters are bounty hunters and just. But we know that most of us in the know, we know that the Shadow Specialists are slavers. They're more than slavers. They're organized. They're logistics. It's a guild that specializes in essentially disrupting governments. It's their specialty. And now they run rampant. She turns a blind eye to their deeds, and in fact, pays them quotas for capturing quote-unquote rebels to feed her slave mines and whatnot. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. Hotma may stay hidden for some time, but if something's not done about her, it's only a matter of time till the silver tide marches its way here too. He kind of finishes his ale and Gives a 1,000-yard stare. Just kind of lost his own thought for a bit.
And Glader's kind of got a 1,000-yard stare as well as he's been listening to all this information be dumped on, because he's kind of been, I mean, tucked away in Hotma for the past 3 years. So the information he's gotten is few and far in between. So this is all kind of a
Right, Hotma is kind of hard to access as far as like it's the only settlement without a road in Hordenshire, and the desert's kind of unforgiving and hard to navigate. So like people don't really often come through here. Hence, neither does more current news. Like you're very isolated, so you kind of been cut off from the rest of Hordenshire for a few years.
Nico, do you know, is there any way to contact these holy flames, or where they might be, or just any sort of information on them? I mean, if
Well, I don't rightly know, and I imagine it's probably good for it. The Silver Queen is not a forgiving adversary, and the Shadow Specialists, this guild of infiltrators and slavers, they have ways of extracting knowledge that you would not want to cross, I assure you. But as far as the Holy Fangs, we don't really know. They're so few and far between, scattered. We can't ever, there's no known way to get a hold of them that I'm aware of. As far as I know, secrecy is the only thing keeping them alive. If the Silver Queen got wind of any of them anywhere, she'd send a fucking 10,000 man army to capture even one of them. In fact, as far as last I heard, there was a 10,000 gold reward pieces for anyone who could bring her any member of the Holy Fangs.
So it's fangs, as in like teeth, not flames.
Yeah, Holy Fangs is the name of this rebel group.
Gotcha. Misheard the first time. Fangs makes more sense. Dragons, got it.
Yep, no worries.
Shit. Have you gotten any word about where the last time one of their, destabilizing missions went down? Because we know the Queen, Ted, fucking dickhead slaver over there, he told us that the Silver Queen stays in Scale Shores to the south. Do you know if they have done missions, any sort of thing down there that to try to destabilize her rule? I feel like if we can get in touch with even just one of them, we might be able to, I don't know, bolster this movement.
Well, I don't rightly know. I made a roll off screen, and I don't really rightly know what or where, how to get a hold of them. They seem to just show up where they're most needed, and sometimes bad things happen to the Silver Queens, say soldiers or resources, and there's no guarantee that it was one of these Holy Fangs, but other times they're less sneaky, I guess. It's not uncommon to hear of a batch of slavers ran through and everyone freeing rebels, as they say, but we know better. But yeah, aside from them just kind of being where they need to be, a source of vengeance or justice, I don't know what drives them, but they you might just have to seek them out. I mean, it will be a rare sight indeed to come across any of them just openly hanging around, but in my time I've seen a couple of extraordinary feats delivered by these individuals. These masked golden dragonborn show up, a variety of abilities, and I've seen them in action on more than one occasion. Both both occasions were up in near Keep Gethmara and another time down near Scale Shores, but they're not an organized lot. It seems like while they keep in touch, I imagine there's only about a dozen of them across Hordenshire proper, and it seems that their sparsity and their stealth and whatnot is a key component of their safety. So it doesn't seem like any of them are bunched up together. Maybe they're just, for all I know, they're nomads wandering around Hordenshire doing good deeds, but there's no for sure way to contact them that I'm aware of. But also, I've been in the back of a slave truck for the last 3 years.
Do you know what they were doing in Gethmara? Did the Silver Queen take that over?
Unfortunately, yes. Last I had heard, there are no more Golden Dragonborn in the entire city. Gethmara Keep is ground zero for the purge against Golden Dragonborn.
All right.
I imagine Brucey was going to take the humanoid stock south of Scale Shores. It's a bigger city and has bigger markets, and it's on the shore of the Arctic Lake. The mountain in the center of the Arctic Lake, Mount Whitehorn. The Silver Queen's Keep is at the top of that mountain, so she pretty much runs the southern half of Hordenshire from the top, from the highest point of Hordenshire. But even as far as Gethmara Keep, I mean, her soldiers are stationed, and those who she didn't outright force into servitude, a lot of her propaganda has worked, unfortunately. Many Dragonborn from all regions have volunteered, to come to her aid. Well, it's very torn country politically. It seems that her and her supporters are currently outnumbering the rest of us.
Your information has been very useful, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. It means a lot to know that there's still friends of my old clan still out there.
You got more than friends out there if you knew where to look, I imagine. Not a whole lot of the allies of the Gethmara clan got treated fairly. I mean, when they went down, everybody in the region, all the clans, gained a little something from the loss of the Gethmara. Silver Queen gained more than most, but you still had allies as far as before I was captured. But keep in mind, I was taken as a slave only a couple of weeks after the Great Conspiracy. But the Red Dragons of Hammerton, they had never broke their alliance. Many of them were classified as rebels and thrown into the slave machine, the slave cog works of the Silver Queen. But what the state of affairs is in any northern part of the Hordenshire, I don't even know. I've been traveling around in the back of Brucey's truck since about the time he caught me.
All right, well, like I said, thank you again, and this information is truly going to help us, and we're going to do everything we can to, well, I can't speak for the rest of the group, but I'm going to do everything I can to find justice for you and my clan and everyone else that is being tortured by this. I hate to even call her a queen because she took that by force, but I mean, I guess that's what she is. She's Silver Queen, and we're gonna find our justice.
if you ever need any of my services, old Nico and crew, you can count on us. He goes back. He takes a big long drag of his pipe and helps himself to another ale.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn to Tark and Rogar at this point and just be like, I think he's good. I think he should stay. Yeah, he's seems like good people. I think he'll help this town a lot, and he's helped me a lot so far. And just one simple conversation, thinking what the good he can do for this town in a week.
Agreed. He will stay. We will work on making him a permanent home tomorrow. Tark kind of nods. He agrees.
All right. Well, I suppose the rest of the party might be a little curious about my story. Guess enough has been shed to light that I can tell a little bit more. Probably gathered that like I said, I'm not from here. Rogar here isn't actually my uncle. I come from Clan Gathmara. My father was a paladin there, kind of higher up in the chain. Not quite the leader, but he was a little bit up there. And one day he came back from a diplomatic mission, and he was scared. For the first time in my life, I saw him. He was scared, and very next day, sleeping late at night in my room, and he bursts through the door, shoves me into a crawl space, and tells me to stay quiet. And that's when I found out the Chris clan was attacking Silver Dragonborns, ambushed us in the middle of the night, and killed just about every highborn member of our clan, leaving only the commoners and the servants and the people not of high station alive. And apparently they took them all as slaves. The only reason I escaped is because I was hiding. I watched my father die in front of my eyes. When everything quieted down, I gathered up what I could of his belongings. This armor is his, sword is his, shield is his. Dragged it all the way down south until I couldn't walk no more, and I found this place. Hid out in a barn in Kava over there. I don't know if any of y'all met her earlier, but a sweet woman. She found me in their barn, and her and Rogar took me in, treated me like their own. Curie basically became a sister to me after I lost my own. And I've been here for about 3 years, and just training and biding my time until I found some sort of sign to move on and get justice for my clan. And I think this might be the sign. I think it's time for me to head out, so I think I might be headed north. I think it'd be best to find any allies I can find further away from the Silver Queen's clutches. I don't know what you guys are planning. I mean, I know you all have your own lives to live and your own goals to attain, but if you don't got nothing better to do at the moment, you can come with me north, and I'll definitely welcome the company and the assistance in figuring all this out. She needs to be stopped. This can't go on any longer.
Well, I don't think it was much of a coincidence that we were brought to Hotmont for one reason or another. And like my father always said, once you start a job, you have to finish it. I don't know about the rest of these guys, but I just can't personally stand by and watch an entire race of Dragonborns be committed, have genocide committed against them, basically. If vengeance is what you're looking for, friend, I will be by your side.
Thank you, Lucas. Happily welcome the help.
And I don't have much of a lead for who I'm looking for, so I'm really just traveling around and keeping an ear out. And my gut just tells me that I don't need to go south. It seems like I'll have better luck to the north, so I'll be tagging along with you as well.
Well, I definitely owe you all a great deal.
Well, I'm looking for something. Not sure what. But I came down here based upon readings I found in the libraries, and gotta be totally honest, there's not a very big library around here, so I think I'll have to hit one of the major towns just to see what I could find. So until my path forces me to go another way, I could be down for a little fun.
May find some more heads to separate for you up north.
And Blade stops his playing and just says, you know, where there's bigger towns and cities, there's larger crowds of people, and I'd appreciate them, you know, to hear my music. And if you'll have me and will listen to my tales and songs, I would love to join you.
I gather that your tales and songs are going to make this voyage a lot more fun, so absolutely. And like I said, I mean, however far our paths travel together, doesn't matter. I will owe you, so whatever help you all need in your own quests, you know, I'm there for you all too. You've helped me way more than you needed to so far, so, and I pay my debts.
As you guys are kind of talking, you hear a loud bang, 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 and you look up, and Tark is actually putting a nail in the wall above the fireplace where he's cooking all his food on this grate, and Kiri hands him a cotton canvas portrait that she's been painting, and he smiles to her and hangs it about perfect just above the fireplace, and gives her a couple of coins for it, and he tells her something along the lines of, "You're officially an artist now. You have made money, and you must continue to commission work for me." And he kind of smiles to her as she kind of beams, and she kind of puffs her chest out proudly and kind of looks to you, Glader, just kind of making sure that you noticed, you know. And the painting is actually the painting's actually pretty good, considering she's only 10. The painting is of just the party, not the filled bar with everyone like Tark and her dad. You know, it's just the party sitting around a table. You know, the table's overflowing with food and ales, and everyone seems to be having a good time. Blade's got his lute. Locris and Gladier look to be in deep conversation. Renwick is off in the back corner, looking a little taller than normal. You know, pulling a pose back, on the on a keg. You know, and all you guys are beaming, to one another. Logos is you can see a partial smile out of him kind of hanging out in like a dark corner of the bar as he's just kind of watching the antics. And it's actually kind of a nice portrait, well done. Let alone the fact that it was done by like a 10-year-old. You'd have no idea. It looks quite masterfully done. And Tark kind of hangs it proudly. And you notice that she titled it Sands of Justice. And it is just like a picture of you guys having a good time in this tavern.
And Clater's just gonna walk up to her and just like hoist her up and like put her on his hip and be like, "That is a very beautiful painting. You did a wonderful job."
She beams back to you and she's like, "Oh, I know, Glay. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna be just like you. I'm gonna be getting out of here soon." And then Rogar is just kind of just, I do not think the goats will have anything to say about that. Who will feed them? Who will water them? You have chores to do. You cannot leave. You're not Gladier. But yeah, so her and her dad just kind of start arguing a little bit about her chores, and they kind of saunter off, and before they leave, he makes sure to he puts his hand on his shoulder and stares deeply into your eyes and tells, like, very concerned, and he just lets you know, Gladier, you do not have to leave before you are ready, but you must travel with an open heart. You cannot always be vengeance and justice. Sometimes you must pick. Do not do evil unto others, even if they have done evil. It will not stop evil from coming back onto you. And then he just kind of shuffles off with his daughter and wife. He gives you a sly smile as he goes to leave, as escorts his family out, and he says, "By the way, you have a very nice dagger on your belt. It suits you well. Perhaps you should keep it." And he kind of gives you a grin, knowing full well you raided his stash while he was gone.
He just kind of laughs and gives him a nod back as they walk out.
Yeah, so essentially, with the information the party's been given, it sounds like you guys are going to head north. Leaving Hotma will result in, it is a desert, so it is going to take a couple of survival checks to navigate your way north. In the map that I dropped in, it's on the little grid, and so I'm gonna say that with like a successful survival check and on foot, you guys can move up to 2 squares a day. So whether you wanted to go north or south, it is going to take 2 or 3 days of travel to get to the nearest town through the desert, and possibly longer if you fail survival rolls. Then maybe you go 2 squares but not in the direction you thought, or yada yada, so on and so forth. Could take a few days if you fail some survival rolls. But so you guys, sounds like it's you guys will be heading towards the town of Greenthorn. Is the nearest point of civilization to the north, and Glade here, you would know this is like a farming and ranching kind of community. It consists of like mixed dragonborn and some humans and halflings. It's kind of a small town by comparison, but it's much, much larger than Hotma. It's got like a single inn and tavern. Most of the buildings are family homes and stables and barns and things, but cattle and mutton. they also have like hay and grains, and varied vegetables, and this is kind of like the general. It's almost like the farmers market hub. This is where people come to buy, sell, and trade. Bushels of apples as well as eggs, chickens, poultry, whatever would be available. So it's not a giant city, but a small town, at least 10 times the size and population of Hama.
All right. Well, I'm assuming we would probably take a long rest
Right.
before we left, and then took off in the morning with our tank thing that we have.
Yeah, you guys can make preparations. Like you'll have a few days to do anything you guys need to do prior to your venturing out. I think this is where we are going to have to call the sesh, though, for it's likely combat ensued. When I leave things to the dice, they tend to either fuck me or not. It's like there's no middle ground. It's like nat crit or nat one, So could be combat, could be not. Depends on your survival checks, encounter rolls and things.
Let's just see. I had plans to do it. I had already written up because I have probably the highest survival of the group. And 11.
Right. Well, we'll do the survival checks and stuff when we actually get to the traveling, and then I'll get like a proper marching order. But for now, the group should be more focused on, I guess, like prepping for this journey. As a group that travel through the desert, you consume a lot of water. So you're gonna need to stock up on some general supplies, especially if your survival checks go awry. You could be an extra day or two in the desert, so you're gonna need to make some preparations for the journey. Because best case scenario, 3 full days of travel, and then a couple of hours on the 4th day will bring you into town. But you've definitely got at least 3 days to wander through the desert.
Would 11 have been good or bad? Find out next week.
It would be middling. It wouldn't be good or bad. It's kind of right in the middle.
All right, guys. That was awesome. It was an awesome Lord Dump sesh.
Oh yeah. So many notes from this session.
Right. I'll break down the pile of gifts that has kind of like grown. I'll write that out and then just drop it in the feed here so that it's not laborious.
Is this a level? Is this a level up ending?
Yeah,
Since
actually. So before you guys travel, since we are doing the I just lost my train of thought. Since we're doing the milestone, you guys kind of figuring out what is happening in the country is definitely like a milestone point. So we'll begin next session with everybody at level 4. Because there's a couple of crunchy, possibly crunchy travel encounters. I'm gonna leave it to the dice, but shit might suck. It's gain an extra level, so I feel less bad if I accidentally kill you guys.
All right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I normally take like maybe like a page to a page and a half of notes on the past 4 sessions. And this one I did 2.5.
Well, it could have gone either way, I guess. But I figured a good lore dump was in order, and then I'd let the party kind of decide where they're going and what they're doing from there.
Yeah, I think I'm sitting on approximately 4 pages of notes.
Yeah, I'm definitely not complaining. I love the lore dumps.
Yeah, sessions like this are awesome. They get me pumped for the next one. it just, I feel like a lot more happens in sessions like this. So like it's lore dump, interrogations, like figuring out sort of mental puzzles, like searching for shit. And then like of course looting's always fun just to see what you find. So great session.
And I can
for sure.
always count on Locris to make some violent shit happen when I bail on a fight. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, Anthony said it perfectly earlier. What did you say? You said it's like reading a book, except you get to be the characters in the story. Like that was like literally that's D&D. So like this is like just that part of the book where it's like you're learning what the fuck is going on.
Oh man, it's one of the reasons, man, I'm a big reader. I love to read because like my imagination is so like vivid. I can picture the story. So with like D&D, man, like when y'all are going through this, like I can just picture it in my head, like exactly what's happening. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, a good session.
Well, thanks, fellas. I will get in touch with you guys on the channels and whatnot, but I'm gonna bail. So keep in touch. I will talk to you guys soon.
All right, guys, we'll
Everybody.
see ya.
See you
Yeah,
later.
thanks, man.
Good night.
Hi guys.